welcome to the Reel Study with your hosts, MrSniDBitS.
I was pleasantly surprised.
BlackGirlMarvel.
I cried laughing. That was hilarious.
TylertheFilmmaker.
It's like so much depth. It's like nowadays it's, you got A shot, B shot.
All the movie things.
There's some great wide shots in this.
JeannineDaBean.
Each other. They just kind of look like they were having fun and doing their own thing.
Produced by Hyena. And me, the Reel Study movie voice guy.
But this was the first time where I got to see it told in a way where I was like, oh man.
Let's go to the poster wall.
Hello and welcome to the Reel Study. Tonight we've got a full house. We've got everybody here. BlackGirlMarvel, all the movie things, JeannineDaBean, Tyler the Filmmaker, and coming back to visit us is one of the original hosts of the Reel Study, MrMARVELite. We are glad to have him here. This evening we will be getting to one film. It's Groundhog Day. We're going to watch it multiple times and then talk about it multiple times. I'm sorry, that's a terrible joke. We've got two great horror films for you tonight, Alien and Alien Romulus. And look forward to a Mel Brooks series we're going to be doing later on. It'll be Young Frankenstein and Spaceballs because Law has not seen either of those. That's okay. We're going to move over to the main screen and talk to Law about social media and see what she has to say about that.
Well, per the usual, if you're here, that means you followed us. And also that means that you might not have followed us. So follow us, subscribe, comment, join in. We love it when people do that. You're quite amazing, if I may say so myself. We are located on all podcast available platforms. I just had a friend of mine at work subscribe to us on Spotify, or at least he looked us up. Either way, he engaged. And that's what we love here at the Reel Study, engagement. So if you feel the need to follow us, it's free, costs you nothing, not even your time, because you could just put us up on the screen and go make breakfast or dinner whenever you're watching us. We love it. Make sure to come join our Discord. We're kind of hilarious in there. We talk about things in there. We play games in there, and you can request anything you want. We have veto power. We don't use it though, but you can request stuff. But as always, make sure you just follow us and subscribe. It helps the channel. It helps the algorithm. And make sure you share us with all your friends and family. Peace out.
We appreciate that, Law. MrMARVELite, we haven't seen you in a long time. How you been doing? Tell us about what you've been up to lately.
Oh, I feel the love, Law. Thank you so much.
You should.
Kind of took a break from social media for a little bit. Been back on now. Really, the big thing is it's FanBox, and we just have our website go live. It's fanbox.com, which we're kind of doing what Nerd Initiative was before until it became all newsy and litigious. So it's an open space for creators, and of course, MrSniDBitS has been getting involved and helping me get everything up and running. So yeah, that's where we're at right now.
Love it. Glad to have you back. And like I said, he was an original host of the Reel Study. It used to be me, MrMARVELite, All the Movie Things, and BlackGirlMarvel. And we just rocked and talked about movies. But of course, we do have two amazing co-hosts with Tyler and JeannineDaBean. We are, of course, glad to have all of you. But I want to go around real quick and just see how everybody's doing, since this is the first time we've all been on screen in a while. So Brian, how you been?
Great. Yeah, it was nice to see these two movies back to back. So I'm excited to talk about them. Heck yeah. They're two of my favorites.
And I think that's why we're all here, because I think we all love the Alien franchise. Law, you have seen these before tonight?
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. I know that with Spaceballs, I'm like, wait, was it Spaceballs she hasn't seen, or Alien, because they have a similar scene, but we'll of course get to that. How you been?
Right.
Huh? What?
How have you been? How have things
Oh,
been?
how have I been? I did not hear that at all. I've been peachy.
Peachy? Peachy's a good word. I like it. How about you, Janine? Things been good this week?
Yeah, we are doing the Black Cinema Challenge, so I've been trying to spread word on that far and wide, and I've seen a lot of people participating. Morgan, my co-host from our shows, Morgan hasn't seen, and It's a Wonderful Podcast. He never makes any TikToks, but he's participating and making TikToks and for the Black Cinema Challenge. So I'm just excited to see that spreading around this month. So that's kind of what I'm trying to put out there for February.
That's awesome. Yeah. And you shared that with all of us. I went and made my list of movies. By the way, if you want to mark one of those movies off, it is one of the movies is a black person in space,
In
which
space,
Alien does
yeah,
have.
the
So you
space,
technically
yeah.
could mark that off. Tyler, how you been?
Pretty good, pretty good. I started reading again. I started reading Wicked
Hey.
because I'm very interested in the book because I want to know
Oh,
what I
nice.
heard it's vastly different from the musical.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
very different.
Yeah,
It's
sounds
and, like
scandalous.
I think it's funny that like since because the movie is so popular, like I see all the books, re-releases of the books, but with like
Mhm.
the movie cover, and it's so misleading.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
They're
like,
not the same at all.
not for kids.
Yeah.
No.
no, not at all. Not from what I've heard.
No. I got this one because I didn't
Oh,
want
yeah.
the movie
Yeah,
cover
yeah,
because
yeah.
I was like that
Yeah.
doesn't make sense, right? Like,
Right.
Nice. Gotta love that. Let's see. So we are not going to be doing any news tonight because there are 6 of us, but we each do have a real roundup. Minus Janine, you said you didn't have anything.
I've just been kind of inundated with movies today,
Yeah.
so
I
I'll
feel
let
it.
everybody speak. I already recorded like 3 other shows earlier
Fair
today.
enough.
Oh,
Fair enough.
So, yes, I will let you all have the spotlight.
All right. So why don't we start with all the movie things? You got to see Companion. I heard
Yeah.
some things.
Yeah.
Tell us about Companion.
Companion.
Hmm.
It's like it's kind of tough to talk about because there's another trailer out there that they released. I kind of wish they didn't because it does reveal
Yeah.
a lot, but it didn't really like ruin, a lot of the stuff in the film for me. But this is Jack Quaid and what's her last name? Sophie Thatcher. And it's like, the typical boy meets girl in the produce section of a grocery store, and it's not really what it's all about. And then it's like I didn't even talk about the movie. Like it's like any little thing I talk about, it's gonna like reveal this like the big kind of thing. But I will say there's some really great themes in it, kind of about that really talk about like abusive relationships and just
Is it like a horror comedy, you'd say?
it's yeah, I'd say it's like a horror comedy, although there wasn't too many like horror elements in it, at least from my perspective. It was more like a thriller, but yeah, there's definitely comedic elements in it. It doesn't take itself too seriously. But it was really great. It's like it's a great original kind of concept, and they really play with a lot of these like ideas of like what it means to be, to have like autonomy and like your own agency.
Yeah.
And to me, like there's so many parallels with just like a real domineering male in a like heterosexual female male kind of dynamic relationship where it's like where like women generally kind of like have a tough time getting out of those, or they're so just like controlled by the man in every aspect. A lot of that is kind of at play here, but for a very different reason that you kind of like see. I mean, that poster there kind of like tells you a little bit about what's going on. But yeah, it was really great. I mean, it's pretty violent, but it's all kind of like played up, it's like the extreme kind of thing where it kind of plays it up for comedy and like, yeah. But yeah, in the end, it was like those themes. It was a really great way to kind of like display those themes, and you really root for, Sophie Thatcher's character. So
I'm assuming Jack Quaid
yeah.
is kind of the antagonist, and
yeah. And there's like this other plot element to it too that's not really revealed. But yeah, that's like one of those things like really hard to talk about. I recommend going to see it. I give it like 4 out of 5 stars on Letterboxd.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah.
That's pretty good.
What about out of 10?
Out of 10, it'd probably be an 8. 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10.
Yeah.
I like that.
Nice.
They got a
it sounds
request for
like-
your shirt, Bri.
Oh, yeah.
Can we see your shirt real quick?
This
It's
is a
totally relevant.
Ripley
Fashion
Fall Out
show,
Ripley.
fashion show
like
at lunch.
sick, yeah. It's like in Barbie style. So like I got this from T Public, and they have a whole like
I
and,
love
like,
T Public.
like they have so many great
They got
things. But they
so
have
many great
Shameless
shirts.
plug.
Yeah.
I have a shop on T Public.
there you go. Yeah.
I need that link, JeannineDaBean. Slide it to
Right.
me.
Just real quick, looking at Companion, I noticed the director was actually the same like main story writer for Suburgatory, which I really loved as a show.
I
don't know
love
if anybody's ever
Suburgatory.
seen
The
that.
Nice.
disrespect
Such a
that it's
great
not
show.
online. I mean, that it's not
Well, you
online.
can get season 1, season 2, and 3 are like MIA, which is really frustrating.
That's disrespectful. I need the box
Yeah.
set at this point.
But there's like this uptick of men doing roles where they're pushed into camps where they're maybe, doing things that are
Yeah.
wildly uncomfortable. My wife watched Blink twice and said Channing Tatum is despicable in the film and hard to watch because you normally think of him as, Gambit or ridiculously, quirky and funny.
Oh, I'm here for it. I can't wait.
Yeah, she said it's a great movie, but hard to watch. So be ready. There's trigger effect like all the way through.
I felt that way
Keep
about
in
Civil
mind.
War. Civil War
Yeah.
was quite triggering. It was
This
a hard watch.
one, I think, will trigger females across the board. I don't think dudes. Will.
Companion.
No, this Blink twice.
Oh, Blink twice. Oh, gotcha. Yeah. I feel like
Um,
Companion might do that actually too. Now that you mention it, like it's potentially, although, there's
There's reasons for
some
that are yeah.
yeah.
It's a necessary part of the plot, I'm assuming.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That
Which
was
is-
a great conversation between the two of you. That was amazing.
You gotta have a story.
I understood everything.
Because I
Yeah.
saw that second trailer that kind of tells you what the thing is. So I know what he's
I
talking
know. I'm
about.
like, son of a. Oh,
Well,
speaking
I
of
just
speaking
saw
of
the
that kind of,
trailer.
there was a social media like ad for the upcoming Brave New World for Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
Like Harrison Ford's character is talking about. It feels like a huge like
Like
Easter egg.
spoiler.
Yeah, I'm like, what did you guys do? I was like, this has greater implications for the entire MCU too. Where I'm like,
Seriously?
why did you guys do that? It's like,
Because they're trying to entice the fans that have gotten rid of
Totally.
the MCU. They basically backed away from it.
Right.
They're trying to draw them back in.
But that's so annoying
I
though,
know.
because
I know.
looking at it from a standpoint as a black person, as a black woman, you have not done this for any other Marvel film. You have not dropped a bomb like this in a trailer for any other film, but you do it for his film.
right.
I feel like I've
Yeah.
missed this out because I'm not even on the radar for this.
Keep
Yeah.
missing it.
Maybe don't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
maybe
don't.
don't.
Keep it out,
Yeah.
okay?
I just saw it
Avoid it.
randomly too on TikTok. It was a TikTok
Oh,
post
it
part of the
sucks.
film, and I was like,
Ugh,
it's the
I
first
want this
thing
movie
too.
to do well. I'm
That
so
like the president
bummed.
says, and it's like, oh god.
I think I
Yeah.
did see that. Oh, great. Now I'm remembering. That's not
Yeah.
good. All right.
I had to watch it a
Yeah.
couple times, be like, did I hear what he just think? I think
I
he
just need
heard
everybody to
what he
hire
said.
me
Like,
so
what
I
the
can
hell?
tell you not to do it. Don't do it.
Right. You just
Stop
stand there at the door and go, no.
Just in the corner.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Exactly. I'll just be
News-
knocking
Yeah.
Rolled up newspaper.
exactly
Just
right on the
roll
snout,
up
right on the nose.
newspaper,
Right on
No.
the
Take them down the halls.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Knock
And
it
give them a
off.
treat
Spray
when they're
bottle.
good.
I love it. Throw 'em a
Yes.
little. We missed you, Brian. Love it.
Yeah.
Tyler, you got to see a new Sebastian Stan. Well, not new, but a Sebastian Stan movie, A Different Man. Tell us about A Different Man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Different Man was really good. I've been actually kind of interested in Sebastian Stan recently. I really haven't
really?
seen much of him since like Winter Soldier, like I, Tanya and all that, but
Mhm.
like really interested, like, you know.
He's really great.
Yeah, this movie's really good. I think the performances are really great. I think this is Sebastian Stan's like really. I think this is one of his best, and I think he did that other one where it's like that where he's playing Trump. I haven't seen that one yet, but that's the one I
yeah.
think more people are sort of like talking about. I think this one's kind of flown under the radar a little bit. And then I've seen is it Adam Pearson, the other actor that acts alongside him. The only other movie I seen him in was Under the Skin, and he was really good in that too. So it's really cool to see like another opportunity for him.
Awesome.
This is another film. Like I think I watched Real Pain like 2 weeks ago when I talked about it on here. But this movie's really about like self-identity and how cruel society can be. I don't know why I'm just like on this flux of movies, just watching movies that just make me feel that way. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just
It is
existential
Adam Pearson,
crisis
by the
after existential crisis. Just Adam Pearson,
Yeah,
yeah.
but that can be very cathartic right now. So I think there's a
Right,
reason why
right.
you might be doing that.
Yeah.
I feel the same way.
Yeah.
We've got Justine in the chat. She mentioned Fresh. I was going to mention that as well. I thought he was
Yeah.
phenomenal in Fresh. I thought Fresh was a.
I know it's on my list that I still have not seen that movie.
Yeah, it's really good.
Be ready.
It's taking me
Just be ready.
forever. Yeah.
It's got moments. All right, A Different Man. I still do want to see that myself, so I will definitely be putting that on my list. MrMARVELite, did you watch anything? I didn't even get a chance to check.
No, we talked earlier. I really haven't seen much of anything as of this week. It's either been website editing or sleep. So
Dang.
those
I saw
do
Alien
take
Romulus.
There you
precedent, which we will of course get into.
go. Well, what a coincidence! Like, yeah.
So nice.
We should
No
talk
way.
about it later.
You know, if you hang around, you know, we could talk about it later.
We might. If we have time, of course.
Maybe.
Yeah,
The
really.
Brutalist, Law. You got to see The Brutalist. I've never even
Dang.
seen much about it. Tell us
Talk
The
about
Brutalist.
being triggered.
I feel like we're going to hear that a lot if we start talking about Tyler Perry and do a little discussion.
Oh man. Trigger Perry.
So you're preparing.
Trigger
You're preparing
Perry.
yourself for that. That's
Mm.
The Brutalist is a film that stars Adrian Brody, and he plays like a Hungarian Jewish man that flees to America, and it shows his life from like fleeing the Holocaust and everything to being in America, trying to get the American dream, or what people think the American dream is, and shows just another side of what he already came from. So it's a crazy film. It's a crazy film because like The Brutalist is talking about the Brutalist era where it comes to architecture, because Adrian Brody's character is a phenomenal architect that in his hometown was like lauded for his like, like just for what he did, what he brought. And then he comes to America and they're like, what is this? What is this? But then it takes one person to be like, this is this is innovative, this is amazing, and now everybody loves him until they find out that he's a Jewish man with a Jewish family, and then he starts to see the real side of America. And I won't really spoil it. It is one of those films where it's like it's really deep, and I feel like any person of any type of ethnicity that has known somebody that's went through things like this, like racism, prejudice, if you know somebody who's went through it, if you've went through it yourself, if it's always in our face, even in 2025, for the time that we've all been alive, it's always been in our face. This film really hones in on like how despicable this nation truly is, and how despicable this nation is to even people that like skin color wise still looks like them. So it was just a very interesting, and as a Black woman, it triggered stuff in me where I was just like, why don't we get along? Like, why don't Black people get along with Jewish people? Why don't Jewish people get along with Black people? I was like, we essentially went through the same thing, still kind of going through the same thing. It really get washed clean, and it was just it made me cry. This film made me cry. I cried in this film because of how this man was treated throughout this film, and it's only with his faith and his family that things will take a turn. So go check out The Brutalist. It's Adrian Brody. It's something about him, man. I've been a fan for a long time. It's something about Adrian Brody that he
can put sorrow on his face like most people can't, I think.
He's because he himself is he's Hungarian and Jewish. Like he's both. I think this film was like a weird like love letter to like his family and how they grew up and how they came over here and sacrificed. So you can see his heart in every scene, every time he speaks. Like go see it, y'all. It's one of those ones where I was like, I want to pull a bride. I need this in 4K. You know what I mean? Still book coverage. You know what I mean? It's just that good because I want to see all the behind the scenes stuff. I want to see what they talked about. I want to see how they created it. Like it's one of those films where I just want to see just how they did everything. And A24 is always so particular in what they put out, regardless of how weird or grounded or fantastical it is. They always have some type of intention with their films, and I feel like this one is no different. I will warn you, this is a 3-hour and 35-minute film
with an intermission.
And a 15-minute intermission.
Yeah,
got to make some popcorn at some point.
It's a commitment.
And it is a commitment. You would think that slowed the film down. It absolutely did not. So,
Okay.
Nice. That's cool.
yes,
That's
go see
good
the
to know.
movies.
It's good to know.
I really wanted to
Okay.
see it. I just had like one 8 o'clock at night showing, so it was just like I don't know if I can make that 3.5 hours
Yeah,
at
no.
8 o'clock at night.
Right.
I recommend try to maybe
I
go
haven't
in
found
the
it playing
morning
anywhere here
or
yet.
early afternoon. One of those
Mhm.
two.
Maybe a
it
Sunday
is-
morning, right? You start
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
early
no,
on
for
Sunday.
sure.
There you
for
go.
sure.
And as soon as you get out, you'll be ready to come do
Ready
the
for it.
real
That's right.
study.
Just perfect timing.
No
Man.
facts.
Have you seen The Pianist, La? And would you say
Pianist?
there's a comparison at all?
I have not seen The Pianist.
Oh, okay. Adrian
A-
Brody.
A friend of mine.
Yeah, I know he's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know he's in that. I just haven't seen it. Yeah.
That's what
A
he won
friend
his
of
Oscar
mine-
for.
Yeah. A
Mhm.
friend of mine called this the brutal pianist.
Interesting.
That's
That sounds terrible.
Wow.
I know.
But yeah,
That
Wait,
went
hold
over
on.
facts.
I'm an adult.
He's like,
I'm
hold
a
on, I gotta
grown-up.
write that down.
that was
Okay.
almost
Grown up.
a Tyler pun. Yeah.
I'm a
Right.
grown
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
One second.
Look, Tyler loved that
Gotta
one.
use that later.
at
on
work. Use that tomorrow.
He's holding on to that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the-
He was like,
You just have to watch this
"Damn,
movie so
put that in my
specifically.
pocket."
I just know that Adrian Brody had said that he doesn't go back and watch The Pianist because it's too heartbreaking and too difficult for him
Right.
to watch. So I wonder if he feels similarly about this. Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe not. It depends.
Yeah,
But-
back
kinda
in
interesting
02,
that
I
he
wasn't
took
as
that role.
sophisticated as I am now. In
Yeah.
2002, I knew this came out. I knew that I love Adrian Brody, but I was like, that seems too deep for me.
Right.
So I
Pianist
went
is a
about
hard
my
movie.
day. And now I'm a little deeper. So I
Went
was
about my
like,
day.
brutalist. Nice. Okay, let me see what this
Yeah.
is about.
Right.
Growth.
So I didn't watch anything new. I watched something really
Ooh.
old this week.
Oh.
So I actually got to see Rebel Without a Cause, and the reason I watched Rebel
Hey.
Without a Cause was because I just watched La La Land, and of course they referenced the movie
Oh,
several
right.
times. And I've never watched a single James Dean movie. There's only like 5 or 6 of them, so it's not like there's a ton of
Yeah.
them. But I said, you know what? I haven't done enough 50s movies, so I gave this one a shot. I was surprised by how much I enjoyed the film.
Nice.
There were definitely some tropes that were turned on their head even for a 50s flick, because it's not all perfect and sunshiny and the Waldens or anything like that. And I can see this is the reason I talk to Janine about this all the time. The reason I enjoy watching classics more than anything, not only get to watch good films and enjoy them, but the amount of stuff you see that you're like, holy crap, I see that
That's
reference. Holy
something.
crap, I see that
Yeah,
reference.
something
And
I've
this
watched
movie is
today references
loaded,
this.
right?
Yeah.
This is loaded with them. I even saw the Paula Abdul video with Keanu Reeves was
Yes, it was
referencing
based on
film.
this movie. Yeah,
Right.
Rush.
So
Okay.
because I was like, hey, that's exactly how they did the camera angles and holy crap.
Yeah.
I watched that video way too many times. as a
Yes, it
teenager.
was a great music video.
This movie could be brought to today and it wouldn't make much difference other than the lingo that they use is a little weird.
Yeah.
But even like Back to the Future where he gets called a chicken, I was like, that came from Rebel Without a Cause. Like that's where all of that came from. He even wears the like white, t-shirt and everything.
T-shirt
in-
with it, yeah.
in, Back to the Future. Grease is like an obvious one. But there's a ton of them, and you can see how this film had such an impact on Hollywood as a whole. But setting all that aside, I really at the end was sitting there talking about Plato, and I was like, man, this character, this poor guy, you really feel for the main character and watching his friend go through this. And I know it's old, but I'm not trying to just outright spoil it for those that are weird like me and haven't seen it. But ultimately, I think it's a movie that needs to be watched because it's still relevant and it still ties to humans and the human condition and how we interact with each other. It's good. I cried at the end of this movie because I was just kind of like, holy crap,
nice.
this is really
Yeah.
harsh. It's a really harsh and very sad ending. There's nothing good that comes out of this movie as far as for the characters.
Right.
And then of course I recognize the dad from Gilligan's Island. I'm like, hey, that's the rich asshole from Gilligan's Island. I remember
Yeah.
him. But in this movie, the dad is like this feckless guy who has no spine of any kind. And there's actually like good cops that are trying to do good by people in this movie, and yet there's bad cop. Like it's got a little bit of everything, but I can see how
Also,
almost
like-
every major teen drama kind of
Hold
has its
something
roots
from
right
this.
here.
Yeah.
So, great film. Glad I got to see it.
Yay.
So it's an old film, but it's new to you.
Right.
This is what it is.
Right.
So yeah,
It's, you know,
that's awesome.
it made me want to watch other James Dean movies, and of course, maybe go 24, dude. That's just too young to die.
Yeah,
Yeah.
No, for sure.
it's crazy.
Yeah. Our motto at It's a Wonderful Podcast is discovering new old movies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a great motto.
literally.
Yeah, and I've been doing that. That's because I'm still doing the 365 days of films. I'm at
Nice.
32 right now. I'm a day behind. I can do a 2 in a day. That's not a problem.
Oh, for sure.
In fact, I'm right in the middle of Godzilla -1.
Oh,
Oh,
Had to stop it, but
so good.
Yes.
So
shit,
good.
that's
So
good.
Really
good.
good.
I watched Crazy Rich Asians.
oh man,
Very
yeah.
good.
Really
Gotta
good
watch
too.
it. It's on the list to
Trying to get
watch.
some that I
That's a
missed that I
comfort
shouldn't
movie.
missed. You know,
Yeah.
it's made me cry. That wedding scene
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
even though I'm
So
like, quit
beautiful.
promoting
Yeah.
rich people, damn it. I hate
know.
these rich people, but damn, what a wedding. So, yeah, anyway, I digress. So we do have some movies to discuss with the panel, and they are horror movies. We've been doing a lot of those lately. Love it.
Yeah.
So the first film, we're going to do them chronological as we always do, which is the classic Alien, directed by Ridley Scott, starring Sigourney Weaver, among others. And I don't think anybody on this panel hasn't seen Alien before. Am I right? Okay, that would be weird. So why don't we start with our guest, since our guest is the reason we had these two films. MrMARVELite, you picked Alien Romulus. Was it because of Alien Romulus, or what made you decide? And then tell us what you think about Alien.
Yeah, well, I think it just came because we were talking and I had asked you if you had done Alien Romulus yet. And with it just being like out in digital and everything else, I thought it would be a good one to kind of jump into, because the way it works, I always like ask, like, if you ever do this movie, I'd love to jump in. And then he's like, well, it's not scheduled, but let's go ahead and do it. So I love this film. I grew up on this film. This is a film that I watched as a younger child. It had nothing to do with bad parenting. It was just the fact that my uncle was a big action film and like horror film fan. And so I don't know. I always loved the strength that Sigourney Weaver had. She was a character that didn't want to have to do what she did, but she stepped up where she needed to. And even as everybody was like kind of like dismissing and opposing, and of course having to deal with certain androids, she did what she had to do. And let's face it, if you can save a cat in the midst of everything else,
Right.
you
Yeah.
can deserve some respect.
In that respect, yeah.
But
That's
for a monster film where the monster was sparingly used, you get these real moments of suspense and horror. You don't know anything about it. I mean, until like Covenant came out and we started really delving into like the architects and everything else, that space jockey was like a point of mystery. And I think that's what kind of also helped make these films popular, because it was like, okay, there's a lore behind it that we don't know and we want to know what it is.
Yeah.
And so people just speculated the heck out of this film. And I think that's what made it so fun. And I could see where there's criticism as they did the newer films, because it's like, did we really need to fill in those blanks? So yeah, that's just kind of like my initial thought about the movie itself.
All right. I love it. Why don't we just go around the horn? Janine, what do you think of Alien?
Obviously a really great film. This time I decided to watch it only really paying attention to Ash, and so that made it really interesting.
Yeah.
Like all the sneaky little
Mhm.
faces he's making in the
Yeah.
background, how
Different
he's kind
perspective.
of explaining things like very straight to the point and like very like word for word.
Yeah.
The fact that he's kind of impressed by the creature and wanting to not hurt it in any way. So it made for a really kind of interesting perspective when you're kind of focusing on the character that is kind of the real monster in all of this. So that kind of just enhance my viewing experience, because it's a movie obviously I've seen a bunch of times, so to kind of make it fresh for myself, I went at it with that angle, and it made it really fun. So I mean, practical effects incredible, the set design, the performances. This film has probably one of the most famous taglines ever, and so I like that they established that, because we get so many quiet moments until something happens. So I like that we set up how quiet space is, and that just makes things that much more scary. So I mean, incredible movie.
All right, Brian.
Again, I was copying Janine apparently because I watched this movie also paying a lot more attention to Ash. And it is interesting, just like watching him and just seeing how much like how well they did like hiding the fact that he's synthetic,
Yeah.
and but yeah, there's all these like little looks, even when like the chest burster scene, he's just still sitting there. So like everyone else is like
He's in
freaking
awe
out. Yeah, and he's
so
just like,
impressed.
He's very calm.
yeah, so crazy. But yeah, I mean, it's a masterpiece. I mean, there's no other way to like really put it. Just like in all aspects. It another element I was really paying attention to was the like pacing and just how well there's like the opening is like so deliberately slow, and I think in this day and age we're so used to like let's get into it, like the action, a lot of fast cuts, all those kind of things, and the opening is really great, and it kind of just lets you be with the ship and how the ship's kind of like this entity itself, and then everyone kind of slowly comes to life, and gets woken up. But then there's like a really great element, at the end where it's like you think, okay, we're done. She's safe. She's in, that escape ship, and she's on her way to safety. And then it's like, no.
Nope.
You thought she was safe. We're like, yeah. And I mean,
all.
yeah, it's so good. Like, and I still love it. Like I've seen it, I countless times. And
Dozens.
yeah, and it's still like, there's so many elements I love. I love the whole like self-destruct thing, where she's like trying to do that whole sequence, and then she's like yelling at Mother, like trying to like stop the sequence. And she's like, "You bitch!" That's so good. But also like makes you wonder, like, why do ships have self-destruct sequences? Like, I've never understood this concept of a self-destruct sequence. I mean,
for aliens, just for
right?
aliens.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it.
Just exactly. Just
aliens,
in case
like,
there's an alien.
you're going to
They
be
blow up your ship.
Just for aliens. Think about it. If
Yeah,
I'm taking this into space, listen,
Right.
something might happen. Blow it up. Blow it up.
No control over anything.
Yeah,
so
What's
let's-
weird
No
though,
control
to that
over
point,
anything.
It is.
To that point,
But-
Brian, you're talking about a multi-billion-dollar ship with 200 or 20 million tons of ore. Why would a company put a self-destruct sequence on a ship that has that much material on it?
Right.
Like, if
I just thought it was something that like
Yeah,
Still go
no,
get it,
it's like Galaxy Quest. Why is this Omega 13 thing even on here? Like, why do
right.
we have it?
And then also,
I understood that reference. That's crazy.
and then on top of it,
Sigourney Weaver.
on top of it too, it's this like complicated sequence to like initialize the self-destruct. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What if you
but
didn't have
also,
the little screw
but I also
things,
love it.
right?
Yeah,
Where
like
do
it's
those
this whole
come
thing. You
from?
should open up each thing to push the little button and like, yeah. But
I mean, but
it
that's
does
why it was
add
supposed
this.
to be a billion more people on
Right.
board.
But it does add this element of anxiety though, because there's this alien running around there, and she's like busy trying to do this thing, as fast as she can. But
Yeah.
that's so good. I love it. I mean, and it of course created one of the best characters in film history. I mean, it's insane.
absolutely.
And she was like originally like a man. There was like no like there was no gender like really applied to him, but
to any of the characters. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
to any of
to
the
all
characters.
Yeah.
There's a documentary I watched immediately after this called Memory that you should check out.
It's a good documentary.
Man, it goes deep into like mythology and those kind of things of like this film was originally, the script anyway was originally called like Star Beast. Terrible title.
Yes. Yeah, I did something similar. The channel New Rockstars, they have like the channel New Rockstars has like a secondary channel called The Deep Dive, and so they did it.
Oh yeah.
Film, and like they even pointed out all the little like the space versions of like icons for like coffee and different things. All the little details.
Yeah. And there's it's good. Yeah, there's
I
all
wouldn't
kinds
go
of
see
stuff
Star
in
Beast.
Romulus.
No offense.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't see Star Beast.
No.
Even if you saw the
But-
trailer for Alien and it just said nothing
Star
changed
Beast?
but the title.
No,
Are you sure you would? I don't know. I might have still saw it.
No, because
We might be
sometimes
sitting here
the
going,
title,
dude, Star Beast is the best series
Star
ever.
Beast.
Like,
Star Beast
I don't
Romulus.
Star
No, 'cause,
Beast.
like, listen, Star Beast Resurrection might be my favorite.
Man,
but I'm
you
just
know-
Oh,
saying, like,
dude. That's Star Beast, man. Pretty good.
Okay.
Pretty
Oh
good.
my
I don't
God,
know.
no.
Sometimes
That sounds
the
like a
title.
fake. That sounds like a fake movie in a movie.
It does feel
It
like
is. Sometimes the
That's like the
title can
movie
make or
Face
break a
Punch
movie.
in Twilight.
yeah.
Right.
Yes.
The one like Roger Corman was attached, like was
Yes.
interested in directing at one point too, which it would have a totally different
Totally
movie.
crazy B movie.
Oh
Like
my
the
God.
sci-fi original version of it.
Right?
Yeah.
That would have been terrible.
It
Lala,
still
tell
would
us.
have been Star Beast, but yeah.
Absolutely. Tell us what you think about Alien, Lala.
Well, I'm just gonna copy off of the three that were before me. So
That's my job.
I know, but you
But
went
you went
first, so I
first?
had to come.
Yeah.
I had to like
Yeah.
represent you. No, see, Bright kind of took what I was gonna like lead with is that I enjoyed the pacing of this film. I enjoyed
yeah.
how it took its time. A lot of films nowadays don't take their time,
Mhm.
and they're like, "We want you to be scared immediately," and that's not how fear works. So,
Right.
so it's just like it's like you have to lull me into a sense of like I'm good until I'm not, and I think this film does that perfectly. Because at first, when you start it, you're just like, okay, it's people in space. I'm intrigued because it's space. Humans love space, whether they admit it or not. So it's like, okay, what are you doing in space? And then little things start to happen where you're like, you shouldn't be in space anymore. Like you just shouldn't be here. So to me, that's such a good feeling because a lot of films don't. They like hold your hand, and I felt like this didn't hold your hand, and it only held your hand, and I'm putting them quotes for that because it truly didn't. But I'll just say it only held your hand when like it was like science speak, right? And even then it was done in a way that was completely understandable. You're like, okay, that works.
Because you have
Okay,
characters
that's
who might
good.
understand everything. So, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because everybody
I mean,
is
it's a
because
tug.
everybody
It's like
had
a
a
tug ship,
role.
right? You know, it's not like
Yeah.
Mhm.
Everybody had their role, right? And if I'm like the engineer dude, I'm not gonna know about the science stuff because I'm just about the
Right.
engineering stuff. I'm here to make sure
Yeah.
this is good. So yeah, you need that exposition and that breakdown for people that's around, but that makes the story even better because you're the audience being like, whoa, what's happening?
Yeah.
What's going on? Like, and for them to tell you, but such in a way that progresses the story and doesn't hinder it, like top notch for me. I love the fact that all of the actors they did not know about the chest burst scene, so like that's their actual reaction.
Well, they talked about
to
that
the chest burst scene.
they knew about the scene, but they didn't know
Yeah.
that he was going to have this extra squib
Like
that was
the
going to
chest-
squirt
Yeah,
blood
they didn't know
everywhere.
how it was going to be shot, and like, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, so
And
they
I
knew
love
it was
that.
coming, but they
I
didn't
love
know
that.
that it was going to be that much blood like squirting out
Yeah.
everywhere.
And
Yeah,
films don't do that anymore. Like surprise people, like get genuine reactions. Like
Yeah.
the only other film I can remember doing that, and mind you, I ain't watched all the films, but was Pirates of the Caribbean when Barbosa came back. They didn't know about him coming back. So when he came down the stairs,
what?
everybody's
No, I'm
faces
sorry.
were like
Oh,
hilarious. Spoiler alert. But I enjoy Alien. It's like it's fun. It's like suspenseful. It has like it's action-y, and I mean I don't because like a lot of people when they say action, they're like car chases and Fast and Furious, and
Right.
I mean like it's action in a sense where like you don't know where it's going to come from, and I feel like that's the fun of all of these films actually, like the whole Alien franchise, is that you don't know
Right.
where it's going to come from,
And it's slow reveals of things.
Yes,
Yeah.
and yes, and
How
the
it
first one
looks
does it
and how it
better.
operates and what we learn about it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
it
the
all
first
builds
one
up.
for me does it better than all of them. Because it's so nicely paced, and like you don't see the creature until you have to see the creature, right? It's like
Yeah.
Full on,
okay,
yeah.
it's
It
been in the
blends into
shadows.
everything. Like,
I've
yeah.
seen like a tail, I've seen the
Mhm.
acid. You might not see much, and then when you finally see it, you're like,
Yeah,
so
we
this
build
is
up
what's
to that
been
hero
around here
shot.
the entire like
Yeah.
it's so good. And I think my favorite scene would be like when she's like she's pretty much naked, booty crack out.
And the
Who
tiniest
picked those
underwear
underwear?
The
ever.
tiniest
I
underwear, man.
know.
I was like, what are we
Space
doing
underwear
here?
for
But,
you. Yeah.
and if I'm being
Space
honest,
Space underwear.
after going through something like that, and I think I'm alone, I would be so covered. I would just be scared of
Right.
anything
Like carry
happening.
coveralls around.
Personally,
Yeah.
personally, I would just
I'm
be so
not.
covered. But I
Yeah.
love when she's like in the room and she goes to like grab something and the alien like opens his hands and she freaks out and she like slowly puts the outfit on to like
Yeah.
eject it from the like that was just to me that's like, and I know that's like pretty much the
So
end.
smart thinking. Like I would have been too
But
freaked
it's
out to
like
even
Oh my
comprehend
God.
what to do
Yeah.
next.
But
the
if you
fact that
see
she
her
has
face,
thought Yeah.
But if you see her face, she was for like a hot second, like she was just like, because she thought she was done, and then she was just like, oh, I should just die. And then she was like, maybe I could do something about this. So I think that was like my favorite scene about that is that like she's a fighter, like regardless, like you could see her the fear in her the entire film, but you never saw her stop. Right. And I think that's what makes her such a compelling character. Sigourney Weaver as a compelling actor, because you can read all that on her face. But
Yeah,
you
like
can
she was the
like
first one to clock Ash is kind of weird and asking questions about him and what
and
when
the
did you
theme
switch to having him here, asking
and the
people to
theme throughout all of
quarantine.
this.
Yeah,
The theme throughout all of this, except for Romulus, is that nobody listens to her when she speaks. Like that's the theme throughout all these films. She tries to warn you, and it's like she's a woman. Shut up, get her out of here. And then all of you die, and that's why she survives. Oh yeah, I love Alien. It's
very topical right now, but
and
anyway.
very juicy. It's so juicy. Y'all know I love my juice.
Right?
Yeah.
Such a juicy film.
Lots of juicy.
Tyler, tell us what you think of Alien.
Oh, I just want to build on what you said about that last scene, because that's exactly how I feel when there's like a roach in my room, and like I picture that scene. That's how I want to like. It takes me about like 20 minutes to get rid of any insect in my room. Like I cannot. But yeah, I love.
Sorry about that.
I'm telling you. Oh man. But yeah, I love Alien. You guys have already said pretty much everything. I learned in film school that Ridley Scott was actually like a production designer. Like that was like his thing. So I think this time around I like really paid attention to like just the design of like the ship is really cool. And I think that's what I also love about it. It's like in the background people don't even realize that like they're giving you the geography of the space, and I think that's what adds to like a lot of why things are scary. Like all these little like nooks and crannies and corridors that like the alien can literally be anywhere at any time and like could just pop out.
That little crack of space.
It's just so much space, and it's so the way that it's shaped, it can fit into like anything, and that's terrifying.
Yeah,
well, that ship isn't small either. Like it's
at all.
A
it
big
could
ship.
be anywhere.
Yeah.
20 million tons. I think. Yeah.
So I love that.
Pretty big space.
That scene with the sonar thing, like that device, that's like one of my favorite scenes. Like you just see this dot like getting closer and closer, and you're like, dude needs to get out of there. They're all screaming, and he's like, I don't know where to go, man.
I don't know where it is. I don't see anything.
She even directs
like, where
him,
is it?
She says behind you, and he goes, "What do you mean?" And like looks up, like, "What are you doing, dude?"
But what you gonna do with it behind you, bro? Just run. It's behind me. Dip forward. I mean, you don't look back, sir.
Negative 5 points for not including Alien Resurrection. What? What, Marley? Sorry. Any more thoughts on
Alien Resurrection?
I don't want to leave you high and dry. I know that we were going last year, but
Ridley
I
is
want to make sure you
hilarious.
get your time.
The fact that she actually made that shot.
I mean, no, it's.
I know, right? That man.
Oh, she did. Yeah, she totally did.
Yeah.
No, I mean, again, like this is like a movie I was shown as a kid. Again, not bad parenting either. I think it was actually awesome in the end that like in hindsight that I got showed this when I was like 7 years old. Terrified me forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I
just love everything about it.
Afterward.
Right.
What was that?
I didn't hear you say that again.
No, it was like I was young enough to when I watched Aliens, I was like begging my older cousins to rent Aliens for me because I couldn't do it myself.
Yeah, it was there. Even in the 80s and 90s, there was still like a, hey kid, you're a little young for this. You know, maybe at 11.
10 years old, rated R. Maybe you should get somebody to rent it for you.
Get somebody to at least say it's okay. Yeah, you guys all have a lot of great points. La, you mentioned something about Ripley's or Sigourney Weaver's terror on her face, and I do love that in the third act she looks terrified almost the entire third act, and yet her hands are not wavering. Like she's constantly still doing it, and she's doing it scared, and it's a perfect example of how that is a brave person. Well, she doesn't become the badass we know until Aliens. She's a badass in the sense that she can control herself and still get done what needs to get done.
Exactly. Yeah, like even when she calls for the quarantine and everybody's against her and she's still sticking her guns, and it's only because Ash defies her that happens. Yeah.
What an asshole.
He is awful.
Well, it's even at the beginning when she's refusing to let them into the ship after he's been he's been
Yeah.
attached. It's
Yeah.
like, you know, they won't listen, but it's like if they would have just listened to her, the movie would have been over. And I get they had
Right.
to continue the plot.
But they can't listen to her, otherwise we don't get to enjoy.
Yeah,
But also it like also part of Ash's character, he's determined, you know, that's his mission. You know,
This is
that's
right.
part of
This
his
is the
mission.
company.
So
This is
that
what the
just
company wants.
lends, yeah, exactly. That just like, you know, falls in line with his
But it's
character.
great
Yeah.
having like she is fighting the company that she works for,
Right.
unbeknownst to her, and
Yeah,
that's a dope reveal in itself, right? Which
Mhm.
is why like he tries to kill her and take her out. Like he tries
With a
that scene was
newspaper
crazy.
Battle
roll.
with that magazine
Oh,
in the
man.
mouth. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
that
That
was
scene
weird.
was crazy because he was just, oh my gosh, that was just so good. The look on his
Yeah.
face, the stone coldness, nobody can get him off of her. It was just,
Yeah.
I'm like, that's
I
a
do
cold
wanna-
scene.
I want to touch on that you just mentioned the company, because Wayland Corporation is something that is huge in the entire Alien franchise.
Yeah.
And the idea that we're way in the future and corporations literally own space,
Mhm.
What?
I'm kind of like freaked out because we're
Yeah.
there at the beginning of that, and I can see how a lot of these science fiction films were like, "Hey, pay attention," and we didn't. We were like, "What a cool alien!" When we should have been paying attention to the fact that these blue collar workers
the
are getting
corporation
half
is the
shares,
ultimate-
right,
Yeah.
for doing
Yeah.
the same work everybody else is doing, but they
Antagonist.
signed a contract.
Yeah.
And I love that they delve into that. Like, there's elements of it's just working folk up in
Mhm.
space doing their job.
Yeah. There's like
and
blue
they have fun
collar,
with this.
you know, it's a blue collar job
Mhm.
that these
Right.
guys are
Yeah.
doing. You know,
Yeah,
so-
and you even see that with the second film when they're actually
Yeah.
doing the entire, you know, the meeting at the beginning where they're trying
Yeah.
to, you know, account for the loss of funds. They
Mhm.
weren't worried so much about the staffing. They were worried about the billions of dollars that it cost for that
We're
entire
investing
ship.
into it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
for the Stromo.
Yeah, it's
No,
again,
you would think we
it
would get
doesn't make
past
sense.
half of
There's
the-
a
that's
destruct
probably not- that's not
sequence
leaving
on that ship.
humans. Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me.
Honestly, I think it does, right? Because if you have I've been thinking about it, because if you have especially on this one, right? You have Ash who works for the company. And if the company tells him like, because he reports back to the company, and if the company tells him like, yo, you gotta sabotage this, like we can't let none of these people go, or we can't let this ship go, like he could easily be like, we gotta self-destruct. Like he can make that happen.
I mean, or if there's some
easily.
kind of crazy contamination, I guess.
That could
Exactly.
be like space disease, space herpes,
Space
if you
disease,
will.
something like that, you know, or maybe what they want ran amok. I can get a sample, but I can't do anything else. All right, destroy everything, take a sample, and like get out. You know,
Just
what I mean?
open the windows at that point, because then he could still survive at the end of it. I mean, if you really
We've
think
seen
about
that
it,
a few times.
yeah, but that's
But
the
you
thing
would-
about this. It's
But
a
as a
cautionary
corporation,
tale.
do you want evidence of you doing some stuff you're not supposed to do? Like you kind
I
of.
mean,
don't.
if they're running everything, what does it matter? Like they're in
Right.
charge.
Yeah,
So I don't think that
But
matters.
are they though? We
They
don't know.
in the Alien
the larger
franchise,
aspect of
100%.
the Alien
Wayland
franchise,
is everything.
I'm-
Wayland
I
runs
can't wait.
everything.
Somebody's going to create something where somebody opposes Wayland.
Now, I want to push back on the self-destruct, because Ash was actually put on the crew 2 days before they launched, so they didn't even know he was going to be on the ship. So that self-destruct was already in the Nostromo
Right.
well before they were going to put it
Oh,
on the
yeah,
ship.
yeah.
So
I
they
mean,
have that built.
you
in
gotta
it's not
think
like-
about
somehow.
But it's not
It
like
was-
they
it was
created
engineered and designed.
Right, it was already engineered by the people for that reason. Like
For
Right.
whatever reason
Yeah.
they
they
thought.
could have been like, yeah, we know that there's something.
and I'm
out
pretty
there.
sure remotely, if they wanted to sabotage it, they could have for their own
Right.
purposes.
Right. Yeah.
That's true.
But
Like
then
Yeah.
and just to like to clear up too, like that doesn't, the whole self-destruct thing is just funny to me. It does not like take it out of the movie for me or anything. It's
Not
like,
at all.
because
Yeah.
like the first time you watch it, you're like, this totally makes sense. Yeah, of course there's a self-destruct system on this thing.
Yeah, for this very purpose, so she can
Right.
like save the
Right.
day. But like
Yeah.
normally, why would
But after you've watched a bajillion movies, you're like,
It's like,
is there a point?
everything
Is
is
there a
just
point
a
for this?
contact.
Like, I
yeah,
don't know.
what?
Now, see,
Yeah.
like,
Give me the
not to bring
reasons.
up another sci-fi franchise, but Star Trek, it always made sense that the Enterprise, because that's the flagship. It's the most expensive ship. It has all the best gear. You don't want that falling into enemy hands. So you
Right.
would want one on a ship.
Yeah,
like
there's
that.
probably a lot of like,
Space pirates.
confidential material on there.
I hope you guys got the space.
Just thought
Herpes
maybe it's just
reference.
like a
That was
bunch
bit
of,
a
like-
deep cut. So I'm not sure
Yeah.
everybody got that one.
So one of the things that I always thought about with the self-destruct, was there's got to be more to this universe, like of different types of species, specifically after watching the Aliens film, when Ripley is giving the briefing. They've never met the xenomorph before, but they immediately, what was it? I think it was like Hicks leaned over and said, "It's a bug hunt."
It's a bug
So it's
hunt,
like,
yeah.
okay, so
They've
they've had
had
to
other-
have dealt
yeah.
with other issues.
Right.
So it makes me
Yeah.
think that maybe with landing there is, I mean, with the like the quarantine protocol and everything else, maybe there have been
Developed
other
for that
ships that
reason.
have
Some
been
type of
overrun with other
infestation type
species.
thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Well, they do kind of allude to that when they see the engineers for the first time. They're like alien species. That's why we were sent here. And they, like
Yeah.
Shepard talks about how they have all these protocols because they might run into something and they don't know.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
And I'm just going to
Um,
stick to a company always wants to protect itself, regardless if it's the
Right.
biggest company of all time. They always want to protect
Mm.
themselves in any
That's a good
corner.
point.
Mhm.
That's a good point. Yeah. Does anybody else have anything else they want to say about Alien? I think we could
Rest
go
in peace,
scene
John
by
Hurt.
scene. Well,
Yes.
and Ian Holm.
One in home.
Yeah,
Oh.
Yeah.
yeah, my bad, yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
And Yaphet Kotto, right? Is he not?
Yes.
He's not.
Oh
That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. Man.
What was that? I was happy he just made it to the
Harry Dean
end. I was
Stanton as well.
Yeah,
I was
he's
just
in
like-
pretty much.
I think it's everybody but like 2 people at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I will
wild.
say I did notice a parallel in the scene where she is kind of telling them not to come back on the ship, and when Andy is not letting the sister come in.
Yeah.
How does that and how that feels different, because they're
Mhm.
literally doing the
Mhm.
same thing to keep everybody alive, but yet
Yeah.
when Ripley does it, we think she's really badass for standing up and doing the right thing and following that protocol. But when Andy's doing it, we like are mad and upset.
I know.
So I'm kind of, when I watched
I
both
think
of them
it's
back to back, I was
because-
kind of like,
I think
know,
it's because
technically it's the same
directive
thing.
change.
yeah, his directive changed, but he's still doing it. He knows and he can compute
Right.
like more clearly that all of them would have died had they done it. So his reasons, while maybe differently framed, he was doing it as for the same reason as Ripley, to keep them all alive. But
Yeah.
yet,
But see, but I
different
think
now,
like the
emotionally,
way that
you
I
watch
look at it, I just think the way I look at it is like, yeah, his directive changed, but his directive changed to Ash's directive. And me watching Aliens and already seeing Aliens know that Ash is like trash. And so for me, I'm like, oh, okay, he's being trash right now. But because people are equating Andy with being this sweetheart, this sweet thing, because that's how he's presented in the beginning, it's
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, like he's saving everybody. It's amazing. And it's like,
Yeah,
no,
but
it's
no,
not.
I didn't
Like,
read
no,
it.
it's not.
I didn't read it that way. I was pissed
Yeah,
off,
that-
but
yeah.
but I just didn't get why I didn't read it the same way as Ripley, because
Yeah.
technically it's the same thing. Like,
It's the same.
had they opened
Yeah.
the door, they would have all died.
I
he
think
can read that
Navarro should have
even
been
more
thrown into
specifically
space,
than-
but that's just me.
than-
I'm a terrible human. But I've seen all the Alien movies, so I know what they're dealing
You
with.
know,
so
yeah.
that's not
No,
really
for
fair.
sure.
I would argue that Andy's character, well, we're going to get into Romulus here in a minute, but
Yeah.
Andy's character is so complex because we have Ash, but we also have Bishop. And because we have both
Right.
sides of that coin,
Exactly.
it makes
Yeah.
it very difficult to say, where is this
Mhm.
synthetic going to land?
Yeah.
So I like that about it for sure.
Well, there's also an
Um,
evolution of the synthetics throughout the series and what
Mhm.
they stood for, and whether you like
Mhm.
Resurrection or not.
Love it.
Jodie Whittaker's iteration of the androids was much more independent and liberated, and
Mhm.
so there. I mean, and you saw like the stigma fell on, because I think Ash wasn't the only iteration that had glitchy issues. They even mentioned that
Right.
in future installments. So
One look, and like,
Definitely.
yeah, and you look at Michael Fassbender's synthetic
David,
character,
yeah.
David. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oof.
Worse than Ash, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, he's like, yeah,
Crap.
the worst one. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and while Cal is more like, or I don't know if it's Cal or Call, I forgot how they pronounce it in the movie. It's been a while.
Mhm.
Is more like Bishop in the fact that she's just trying to live and be herself, which is great. And Winona Ryder, you can't. Who can't trust Winona Ryder? Like that's
Right.
like a given.
Stores.
Why don't we rate Alien? Because I think we're going to talk a lot more
Retail.
about Romulus,
Old one.
and all the Alien movies are going to
Yeah.
probably get.
That's a
brought up
deep
more.
cut. Nobody
Mhm.
understood it.
So
it was good.
let's start with Mr. Marvelite. What do you rate Alien?
Oh man, Aliens, one of those films for me. It's a perfect classic. It's one that has derived spoofs and everything else in the past, it really did set a trend. And for that sake, I would give it a solid 10. It's one of those films I can go back no matter how long it's been and watch. I feel like it ages well. It's also one of the films that you kind of gauge the success of the rest of the franchise, because regardless of whether you get different genres throughout, Alien is fantastic. Aliens is fantastic in my mind. I know some people have some issues with it, but at the same time, it is it's a great next chronicle of this saga
of Ripley's life, essentially.
Exactly. And for the fact that we get a character like her in the 80s is phenomenal to me. And I love Ripley. When I think of like top heroes, I think of Ripley's up there. So yeah.
Well, according to the Real Study panel, she is the final girl because we did a tournament and she won.
Very true.
So I just want to put that out there. Yeah, she
Oh, also, this film is the initial film used for the Bechdel test. This is the first film that was used to test that.
Does it pass?
Theory. It does. It was the initial one that they used for it, and it's the very first one. So it does pass, but like a very thin margin.
Right.
Yeah.
We also get a trans character in this movie.
Yeah.
Right.
Technically.
Janine, give us your rating of Alien.
Yeah, I mean, the pacing, how things are revealed, the horror aspects of it, the sci-fi elements, how everything looks. 10. It's great.
Love it. How about you, Brian?
It's a 10. All day, every day. Yeah. Production design.
In space, I can only rate it a 10.
Yes. Production design, I didn't mention that, but like it and the documentary kind of talks about that too, how like, coming from the 60s and 50s sci-fi was like everything's like squeaky clean and bright and colorful, and then this is like working class,
3D and
ship,
gritty,
dark,
like
mechanical,
and that just
There's
lends
dripping
itself to
pipes
the
and
horror
shit.
element.
phallic a little bit. And
There's
very
I think
sexual,
that's the H.R. Giger.
yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean that whole theme is throughout. It's like, and they talk about that, like
Yeah.
it's basically like
and it's
these
way
men
worse than
getting,
Romulus. Lord have
raped.
mercy.
Oh yeah, it's all
We'll
the
get to that.
penetrating.
Yeah.
The
Jesus.
penetrating of things, and
Yeah.
I think when I watched that deep dive, they talked about how they wanted men to kind of feel uncomfortable in terms of this
Oh yeah.
kind of raping of their faces with
Yeah.
the face huggers.
Yeah, there's a reason we call them
That
face
was
huggers and not face fuckers because
Yeah, yeah.
honestly, that's what they are.
So
They
the
wanted
whole
they wanted to instill that feeling of violation.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
feel
was
it.
like a purposeful.
I dig
choice.
it.
Yeah.
I feel it every time. I'm like,
Freak me out.
La, what did you think of Alien?
I feel like I'm supposed to give it a 10, but I don't quite
You
feel
don't
that.
want to.
Man.
Like,
Is
I
this
don't
like a
quite-
resistance
The
for the
movie
sake of
is making
resistance,
me-
or
You just
I
want to
feel
be
like-
different.
I probably do, but I feel like I'm supposed to give it a 10, and I just want to give it like a 9.
Do what you want.
let me ask this. Let me ask this to see if we can get you to a 10. Would you prefer this or Aliens? Which is the better film?
Oh.
Ooh.
To me, Aliens is the better film.
Okay.
Aliens.
Personally.
The Cameron is better. Okay, then I can understand why you might
Yes.
give it a 9.5.
Aliens. Yes.
I mean, I love it.
That's no disrespect to Ridley Scott, even though like the last duel. Okay, sir.
You gotta.
I mean, I'm gonna give it a
That's just
10
French court
because
drama.
I really
That's
want to give it
gross.
like a 9.9999999. Like I truly do.
There you go.
Like I just want to give it like a
9.9 repeating.
9.9.
Yeah.
But I'll
Isn't
just
that
give it.
We'll
I'll
just
just,
round up.
yeah, I just want to
Pick
have
it
it.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just give it a 10. I low key want to give it a 9.5, but give it a 10. Give it a 10.
Okay.
The movie was
It's
great.
even.
That cat
It's
was a
super
jerk,
even.
though.
That cat was a jerk. He sat there and watched that guy die.
He just watched
No,
him.
Yeah.
listen,
murder
You didn't even
him.
warn him.
Could
No,
have done something.
that cat did what everybody else should have done was save themselves. Okay, that
Right.
cat lived and protected itself. Okay, everybody should have did that.
Tyler, what do you think of Alien?
I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 9. Sorry.
Sorry.
It's just how I feel. I don't know,
I
man.
respect it.
Sorry, Ridley Sorry, Weaver. Nah, it's a 10. I'm
Sorry to
sorry.
this man.
Again.
I was gonna say,
Still
it
sorry.
feels like
Oh,
Oh, he
Mr.
left.
MrMARVElite left. He's like, no way.
Wow.
Sorry. I've had 10. I've had 10. 11 maybe?
11.
12?
Unacceptable.
13?
Infinity.
Keep going.
Mm.
Just like me, guys. Just love me.
Going on what Law
What
said
rating
before
do
I
you
give
want
a
me to
rating,
give that you'll select?
All right. That's
Well, we want you to get what you really feel, but we'll pressure you into a 10 on this one. We're gonna come
No,
on,
for
come
sure.
on.
No, that's a 10.
Based on what Law said, people saving themselves, that's something Parker should have done. He absolutely should have just ditched Lambert and been like, why are you screaming I can't move when you could just move? He could have just walked away from her, let her die, and him and Ripley could have floated off into space together. But no, we had to watch Parker die because he was a good guy.
But no, he had to go. He had to go save her. I'm like,
He had to try to save her. I know, which bugged the crap. I'm just like, no, Parker. Every time I don't want you to do
I
this.
would have just burned her and him. I would have just killed everybody. Would have just died in that moment.
Or just wait till it grabs her, and then like, and now I have to save you by killing you. Like, you
I'm
know,
like, I'm so sorry.
Lick
your
butt. Yeah, this is a 10. There's not even a question. This is the premier horror sci-fi film.
Panel 10.
Love it. With that said, we are going to move on to Alien Romulus, which is the newest Alien film. What is it, like the 7th Alien film now, I believe? That sounds right.
Number 15 and a half.
15 and a half. This one is directed by Fede Alvarez, known for the 2013 Evil Dead re-release, as well as Don't Breathe with Jane Levy. Both with Jane Levy.
Yeah.
I want to go the other way. We're going to start with Tyler. Alien Romulus.
Oh, a word. Was not ready for that. Here we go. Alien Romulus. Great film. I think honestly this reinstilled like my love for the franchise, because I think like I loved Prometheus for what it was. I kind of actually didn't like that it became an Alien film towards the end of that movie. And then we got Covenant, and even Covenant, I was just kind of like, we got the weird flute scene with David. But Romulus, great. Romulus, I like cried during the open. Like I was watching with my friends. I cried in the beginning. I was like, "Thank God, here we go. We're in it. The score, the everything, just like finally, here we go."
Yeah.
Like the pacing, I was like, we don't even need the alien till like the last 10 minutes. If you want to do that, it's all good. Thanks, Fede.
Right.
But I loved I know there's a part of the movie that it has to do certain things because the studio is like, you gotta ease them back into this. Like we don't know if people are gonna be cool with this. You remember Covenant? Remember that one? Sorry, they didn't apologize for it. But here we are. But yeah, Alien Romulus, the production design, Kaylee Spaney is awesome. Seeing, shoot, I'm like blanking on his name. David Johnson. What is his name?
Andy.
Yeah, he
so good.
He literally sold the movie for me. Like,
to me, he is the movie.
Yeah. And then one of the most entertaining things about like the movie is like the trolley problem thing, like, but they make it like even darker. Where like, so we're gonna present you with these two choices, right? You kill one or kill 12, whatever it is. But also you don't actually have a choice. We're just gonna pull it for you, and like that's like the entire movie is like no one really having a choice. These people just kind of like in the middle of like this epic thing that
talk about like raising the stakes too. It's like each like they just keep raising the stakes.
Yes,
which is like something
kind of
I really
tackle one obstacle, something worse happens.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, and they kind of fixed the self-destruct thing where they're like, it's not going to self-destruct. It's just going to fall into like the rings of this planet. And I was like, what does that mean? And like, you're just waiting for that to happen. You're like, what?
That's like
what do you mean?
Ticking clock of the whole thing too. It's like not only do you have to fight this like insane thing, but also we're gonna slam you into this like rings of this planet.
Yeah, they're like, we'll be in now in like 20 minutes. Like,
No,
you won't.
Yeah.
And they're gonna accelerate the deceleration. That's what's gonna happen. It's gonna get worse.
We had this running joke in the theater where I kept turning to my friends whenever they're like, we'll be out of there in like 20, 30 minutes. I like turn. I'm like, no, they're not.
Right.
I'm like, we'll just go get the other cryopods. I was like, that's not a good idea. Like, just constantly, just like,
Yeah.
just the wrong
No,
choices,
don't do it.
dude.
You're gonna
Stop
cry.
listening to
Yep,
Tyler.
you
Like,
did. Like,
It's
yeah.
not a choose your own adventure book, that's for sure.
No.
There's no
Yeah.
like, alternate path.
Yeah, no getting out of it.
no.
Lala, what
Yeah.
did you think of Alien Romulus?
I thoroughly enjoy Alien Romulus. I felt like Alien Romulus was like a love letter to anyone that loved the Alien franchises, like all of them, and then still introducing it to a new generation who have probably was like, oh, those movies are too old. I don't want to go see those movies.
All right.
Even though I think more people are watching older films like outside of their generation, because I feel like everybody does. Like if you're a cinephile, you eventually be like, I'm gonna go back and watch this old movie from the 80s. and so I think everybody kind of like moves that way. But for me, this was such a good film. It was like, it felt like The Force Awakens, but they added more in the best way, right? So it's like, because this had nods to like the original, it had nods to like Aliens, it had nods to Resurrection,
The
you know what I
Game,
mean?
even
It had
Alien Isolation is in there.
Alien
Yeah, even
Isolation was in there.
Prometheus was
Yeah,
referenced.
Isolation. Yeah.
They
Alien
had
3
Prometheus
close
with
up
the
to the
like
face,
with him
but
being
the
like
alien like right on her face. Yeah.
face, like it's such
Mhm.
it's such a love letter to this franchise, but then keeps the franchise fresh and alive. And I think that's very hard for a lot of people to do, especially since there's like a lot of remakes and a lot of retellings and a lot of blah 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 blah. Like people don't know how to like keep that nostalgia with adding something fresh, and I feel like Romulus does that. I think them like taking tropes like and adding it to this film really like made it great. Like one of my favorite scenes is when they're outside the door and they have to walk through this door and it's all the little baby face huggers, and they're
Were they
like,
have to be
well,
really quiet?
how are we going to get through this? And he's like,
Oh my
well,
God.
they can hear you, but they go by your body heat mostly. And the Ripley of this is like, well, why don't we just up the heat and take
Yeah.
our time and walk through? And to me, it's like I feel like humans would be smart in this moment because we have no choice but to be, right. Like it's gonna be some stupid ones, but I feel like when the adrenaline pumps and you're fearing for your life, you start thinking a little bit more clever than you would like any other time. And so like I love that her character was the character that was like that would take in information and create a solution, very a la Ripley in the franchise. Like, like so like to me having that character was nice. Having Andy be like such a juxtaposition to any other android we've seen, like very close to Bishop, but just any other android we've seen, just sweet and kind and kind of faulty at the same time. And then you find
like
out
how
that
his
he's
stuff was kind of how he was put together almost makes him feel like someone on the spectrum who kind of processes things differently.
Oh, totally, yeah.
Exactly.
You gotta
like
know
Wall-E.
when you first meet him. You know,
Exactly.
like, you don't know
And
he's
so
a
to have
synthetic,
him as like a flawed synthetic, but not at the
Mhm.
same time, because like I think Andy for me is my favorite character in Romulus. Like to me, Andy holds everything together, but also breaks it apart. And I think that's a beautiful thing to have within one character, because you go from trusting him completely to being like, wait, I ain't get the chip out. He ain't the same.
You're like, whoa.
Get the chip out. Something's wrong. And it's like, it's I just love the trajectory of everything, because her injecting herself with the like primordial ooze and then having like an alien hybrid baby a la what she did in Resurrection. Like it was just like, hey yo, like that baby was creepy.
It was
like that's such a
terrifying
good,
looking. And that was like
such
a real
good
guy
scene.
in that.
Yeah,
that
that was a
real guy
suit.
in Project
And like
Phoenix.
a huge basketball player guy.
Yeah.
Like he's like, to me it had such great elements, because it's like if you've never seen the franchise before, you're like, oh, this is nuts,
Yeah.
this is crazy, and it might make you want to go see, yep, there he is.
There it is. Yeah.
And it makes you want to go see the originals and like, let me go back into this franchise, see what all this led up to. But then if you're a person that's been a part of the franchise since its inception, you know what's going to happen, you just don't know how it's going to happen. And this was a fresh way to show me what I've already seen before, but it was just done in such a good way. Because to me, the best scene is the no gravity scene for me. The
Yeah, and
best
that
scene
speaks
is
to what you
Yeah.
were saying about how she processes
how she
previous
Yeah.
information and then
the
uses it
information
later.
and then uses it. And I think that is like, to have a female character that's smart, but not like annoyingly in the point where
Yeah,
she's like,
because she gets that idea from one of Andy's cheesy
right,
Right.
jokes too.
right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
But
Mhm.
anything that she comes up with is based off of like whether Andy said it or somebody else said it, right? And it's kind of like a throwaway line for them, but for her, it's like, wait, this can work. And I like that in a
Mhm.
person because it shows just how smart her ingenuity. Because think about it, she's been fixing Andy since however old she was. She's good with like mechanics and androids, so her brain works in a way that nobody else's does. So Alien Romulus, top tier film.
I love
Yeah,
it.
and we get one of
Brian,
the
tell us
greatest
what you think of
sequences from that.
Romulus.
No facts. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like what Tyler mentioned earlier. I was like super excited for this film from, the moment they like announced it, and then I was just got to see more as like going back to some things that we love about, it's definitely like a mix of Alien and Aliens. We see so many things, and it wasn't like heavy-handed stuff. I know there's this whole thing about like fan service and people bitching about fan service, but it's like, I like some of that stuff,
This was so
like
great.
yeah, I thought this was really handled really well. I mean, even down to like, so in Alien, there's those two little dippy bird things on their table. There's one on the scene between Andy and Rain. There's one on their table. I was like, I didn't even see it the first time I saw it, and I saw it this time. I'm like, the thing. I was so. And like, there's all these fun little things in this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, like Alien Isolation, there's these like, it's like the save station. Those are in this movie in the background. They don't even like, there's in the background, but it's like such a cool thing to like, it's still the Alien Isolation save point in this game. It's like, but they never use it. It's like, you guys got to use that and save your game.
Right.
Because you're gonna get messed
ain't
up
no
here.
save,
You're gonna
ain't
die
no
in
save
the next
points
two
in
movies.
space, man.
No, yeah. In
We
space,
get the
there's
big
no space.
line as
Yeah,
well.
That's the
That is
tagline,
one of the
yeah.
scariest games
In an
ever made,
interesting
in my
way.
opinion.
Tagline, I know.
It really is.
But yeah, no, like the pacing was really great. And another great thing about so I saw both of these movies within like 6 months ago, basically, right before this film was released. I rewatched Alien also to prep for this. So I've like recently seen both of these films back to back. But it was funny because I didn't pay attention to a lot of that stuff until this viewing. This is my second viewing of Romulus, and I love that they keep all the tech the same too. It's like that almost like retro tech. Like the monitors are like CRT monitors, like all that stuff is so like even the opening of this film.
Switches and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Even the opening of this film is very reminiscent of the opening of Alien. We see like reflections of the monitors on things, and all that stuff just kicking on.
And I like the connective story of how it starts, and that's
Yes.
that it's connected to the Nostromo. They made it make sense.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And even though this is the second time I was watching this movie, I was still just like, just like so into it. Just like my anxiety was like going crazy. Like those face huggers, man. Why are they the creepiest thing ever created? Like it's
And we get
like,
to see the front end of them in action.
oh my god.
Can I go in that dude's mouth? Because I don't know that we've ever really gotten
No.
on like that
No.
before.
My bad, real
never-
quick. I meant to bring that up. The fact that they have, I'm sorry, I'm gonna say this out loud, but I'm gonna say it. The fact that they have made like the cocoon and also the face hugger look like a vagina
Oh yeah.
is wild to me.
Yeah.
Like is a wild to me. So I'm like, are aliens asexual?
Right.
Because they look
I mean,
like
they don't really. Yeah, that's the
I'm just
thing.
saying.
But
they got the mother, but like
yeah.
But
they were
I
like,
thought that was interesting, and it's
Yeah.
juicy too. What are we
For
doing?
sure.
What are you trying to say?
Acidy, juicy.
What is happening?
But like when I was talking about like raising the stakes before, like this thing keeps doing that. Like the scene when we first are introduced to like, and that scene gets built up so well too when they're in the cryo
Ooh,
freeze
yeah.
room and the water,
Yeah.
and then
Oh,
they
yeah, yeah,
reveal
yeah,
like
yeah.
how many
All the
face huggers there
vacuum
are.
face huggers,
in
yeah.
there.
Oh my god, you're just like no, 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 no,
The
no, no, no,
tension
no,
is
no.
crazy.
Yeah.
That was what I
The
kept
tension
saying.
is
No, no, no,
crazy.
no,
That's
no.
why
Oh god,
that's
So
why I
many
say
great
like
so good.
people that haven't seen it are like, whoa, 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 what are those? And the people
Yeah,
that do see it is like,
Right.
get out the room, get out the
but
room.
us, yeah,
just-
like
I
we
imagine
were
We
that.
like,
know. We
god
full on
damn,
know what these
Get
things
out
I
are.
the
could
yeah,
not
yeah, like
imagine. I could not imagine them
it's
doing
beautiful.
better than the aliens, Ripley and Newt,
Yeah.
like that whole scene. And then I saw that I was like, it's over. That's the
Yeah,
better
you're
scene
like,
with the.
dear
with
God.
the-
Yeah.
Yes,
Yep.
and
And it's
Yeah,
then
no,
water
I was
too.
frightened.
right, but then also like
Yeah.
the scene, that Law mentioned, where they have to be quiet. Like I'm like, come
Yeah.
on, guys, like stop.
No,
That's
I
the
was
level
so
of
mad.
alien that would drive me
I
Asking
was
crazy.
too. Like,
so mad when the sister
yeah.
called in. He was just
Oh my god, yes, I was
I
like,
would have been like,
come
I'm
on.
sorry, but I'm gonna
I'm
have
like,
to like destroy. Like
yeah.
I'm gonna throw this away
And then that
somewhere else so we
moment
can run this way.
on Andy, he's just like,
Andy was like,
run, just
run,
Run.
he's
because what are
Yeah.
we doing at this
Yeah,
point?
right? Like,
Run.
yeah, it's all right.
Like,
Anyway, yeah, it's great. It's okay, I guess.
Janine.
I love it.
What do you
Oh,
mean?
man.
What do you think,
Um,
Janine?
Well, just a bit of a funny story. My friends told me about their viewing experience of this film, my friends in LA.
Oh,
So two of them were in line to get snacks before going to see this movie. And one of them was talking about how they didn't really care for Fede Alvarez's other films. They thought they were not great. And basically he was talking like a bunch of shit about Fede
Mhm.
Alvarez's work. So
He's a
after they get their
fan.
snacks, they turn around to leave, and Fede Alvarez is behind
oh my
them.
god.
Hilarious.
He was there
No.
to watch his film with an audience. So when they went into the movie, he was in there watching the movie
Oh
with
my
them.
god.
That's
Oh, wow.
hilarious.
Yes. So
If
who
I was
knows? I
him,
don't
I
know
would
if
have
he
waited.
heard them or not, but my
Yeah.
friend
bet
who
he
wasn't
did.
talking
He
shit
probably did.
did end up getting to go and ask him for a picture and took a picture. So,
Sweet. That's cool.
but yeah.
Wow.
That's cool. That's hilarious.
Damn.
But
That was funny.
yes.
Careful when you
My
watch movies in Los Angeles, man. You
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's all,
You
that's
don't
all I
know.
need to
It
know.
could be.
Exactly. Yes,
all I need to
because
know.
they just pop up. They're always at the theater. I saw. I
Well,
think
there
I
are people
saw,
that
what's
want to
her name?
see, right, what their film
Yeah.
makes people think. So they're
Yeah.
gonna
I
go
mean,
see the
honestly,
audience,
my
right?
I mean,
first
I'd be
like
nervous as hell to do that,
big
but
film, like my first film that like ever comes out that like it's like in theaters and stuff like that. I'm gonna go to the theater to see it with in the room for the people. Like I don't know if I would stay for the premiere like or anything like that, but I would like to go to a local
Yeah, it was just a
theater.
regular screening. They
Yeah.
went and
Yeah,
he
yeah.
happened to
Yup,
just
that's
be
what I
there
wanna
in
do.
the
Yup.
movie with them.
That's
Yeah.
exactly.
cool. Yeah.
So
That's
yeah,
hilarious.
when we got caught
That's
not getting
funny.
some shit.
Now your friends like that's my favorite director of all time.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love Fede.
Yeah, right.
Hold
Yeah,
on,
he's my
sign.
favorite. Number
Just
one.
making
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
My viewing experience, I actually saw this in Screen X, so it was really cool because it has the three
yeah.
screens.
Uh-huh.
So it'll usually like be one screen until you're
Yeah.
like in the expanse of space or something, and then it opens
Oh
up
my
to all
God.
three screens. So it was
That's
a really
super
immersive,
cool.
cool experience. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
I think the only other movie I saw like that was Top Gun Maverick. Of course, I
Yeah.
saw that
I'm
movie in like
I'm a
5
little
different
jelly.
formats.
Yeah, you
Little
got to.
jelly.
And
That's
I
pretty cool.
saw Star Trek Beyond in the Screen
Oh,
X
wow.
as
That's
well.
very
Wow.
cool.
Yeah. So really cool experience. I highly recommend. But yeah, no, I love how this movie starts out kind of separate from any kind of Weyland-Yutani orders.
Mhm.
It starts out almost like a little heist film. Like these people
It
are going to
does,
do this
yep.
heist.
Yeah.
They're going to do this
Yeah,
individual thing that has
Totally.
nothing to do with Weyland-Yutani, and then it
Yeah.
ends up turning into a Weyland-Yutani
Weyland-Yutani,
thing with
yeah.
Andy kind of getting infiltrated.
Mhm.
So I like that that's kind of where it starts, that it's separate. That's what makes it feel different from the other films, that it's not beholden to this company until,
Mhm.
it kind of has to be. The sequences, like I think you guys talked about all of the really great action sequences, the kind of gravity acid, like just the
God.
tenseness of that was
Oh,
just
man.
another great
Yeah,
great
that's a
set
great
piece
scene.
to go through that. And it has like this
Yeah.
time crunch on it as well, which just makes it really
Mhm.
nerve-wracking.
Mhm.
I love that there was a combination of digital and practical effects. I think more movies
Yeah.
need to just
For sure.
not be
Do
afraid to
that.
combine
Yeah.
Find the
combine
two,
both.
yes.
Yeah. because I think that
Mhm.
always works
Makes
best.
for awesomeness.
Yes. I loved all of the callbacks and nods. I didn't think that they were jarring or
Right.
cheesy. I think they all
Yeah,
worked
yeah.
really
Mhm.
well, even the, getting away from her line.
I know.
No, that was so
I was like,
great.
I was still here for it.
That
Yeah,
was
yeah.
to me, that was so great because he didn't finish it, so it was more so like it was just like a nice little homage. It was just like very nice, and it was like
Yeah,
it
you're
stayed
like,
within how
are
Andy
you gonna finish
speaks
it?
and talks and
Yes,
stuff.
You know,
right?
we all
Are
kind
you
of
gonna,
went,
are you gonna say it? Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
That's good.
I will say the thing that no one has said yet, that Rook
Mm.
looked like shit. Like
Yes,
it
I
looked
did want
terrible.
to talk about that, but I was gonna,
me
yeah.
too.
Um,
But
like
yeah, no,
we
there's
have
yeah, never mind.
two living synthetic actors that they could have pulled from that would have probably still, gotten the point across. But
Right.
if they were going to use him, like keep him obscured, because we could still got the sense even before we even saw
Like he
his
looked great
face.
in the
Yes,
shadow.
in the
Yeah.
yeah, in the
shadows,
shadow
on a
you could see
blurred
the
Looked great.
face, like
screen.
how
Yeah.
his face.
Even when we did get like
screens were
one
fine.
hero shot where they're kind of leaving the room and he's just looking on
Yeah,
at
that
them,
looked great.
that looked great as well.
Yeah.
So,
Uh-huh.
so we got the sense of who it was, and then we get that hero shot of the face not moving. That would have been enough for me, because
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool seeing it obscured in shadows and
Yeah.
kind of
Mhm.
blocked by things and just seeing bits and pieces. That would have been perfect.
Right.
And then I
Also,
heard
he
that they
was
had
locked
kind of,
off at the head,
well,
which I
this is
thought
a
was
different,
interesting.
well, was he? He
Yeah.
was,
He
I
had
think he
it-
had
In
his arms.
Alien,
he,
they
He had his
this part
arms
of
and
his head
everything.
is ripped off.
well, this is
and set
different.
on the
He's a
table.
completely different one. This
Yeah,
is this,
Did
he's
I
not
miss
yeah,
that?
Ash.
he's not Ash.
Okay.
He's Rook.
His name's
So
Rook,
Yeah, he's
and he's a
good.
little
so
bit
Yeah.
he
different.
looks
Yeah,
the same,
I
but
got you.
he's a different one.
same model, but
Mhm.
yeah.
Same, yeah, that
Ah,
looks
Yeah,
T800
because I was
kind of
thinking that
situation
too.
with
Because
that.
I
Right.
was like, "Yo, they burnt his face off in that thing in that scene."
yeah. So
And then like
he's
I was
Rook.
watching it like, ugh, I'm wrong. It's the same model, like with different but it's different,
Yeah.
different model, but same like skin.
It's
Yeah.
just
And I was
like
like, okay,
we had
Exactly.
David, and then we also had Walter, I think.
yeah,
Right.
You know,
Yep.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
yeah,
Yep.
and the fingering.
Yes.
But yeah, like, and I think they said they were fixing it for like the kind of home
Yeah.
release, and I watched it and it still looked terrible to me. So
Yeah, it looked
Yeah.
awful. I've only seen the
Yeah.
home release, and it was terrible.
yeah,
I will
yeah.
say, like, it is a mix of animatronics, and they
Yeah, they had an
and they fixed
animatronic
them,
that looked great, because I
and
watched
they fixed the
the
like
corridor
yeah,
crew, like they did a whole
right.
kind of behind the scenes on this, and so they had
Yeah.
a whole prosthetic like
Yep.
animatronic thing that looked great, but
And
for whatever
a
reason
voice
they
actor
kind
did
of
his voice. Yeah.
yes,
And I
Voice
and
actor
so
did a good
they took
job.
digital images from Lord of the Rings to be able to
Yeah, because
kind
that's
of
the
fill
only
in
like
gaps.
Yeah,
last
like
thing
filling
that
the
they
gaps.
had.
Yeah.
out of
Yeah. It
him.
was like
Yeah.
mostly for mouth movement was really what they were trying
Mhm.
to fix.
Yeah,
And
which
they
is why
did
they
get
just should have obscured it and kept it
right.
kind of in shadow
Yeah.
and on
And the
blurry
fact that it was
screens and
Bilbo
things like that.
Baggins in space is kind of wild. Is all I'm
Well,
saying.
they did get, permission from the
So from
estate.
his
They
family,
Yeah,
yeah,
from his
yeah.
family and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. So
but
they switched
yeah,
that. Yeah.
that was the only thing. That's the only thing that
Yeah.
really kind of is upsetting, that it just looked
Right.
so terrible in the time when you can do so many great things technically.
Yeah. Well,
And if
that's
you
what he
couldn't,
said too. Like they ran out of time, I
yeah,
guess. Like
but that's
to do
why
with
they had the
yeah.
option to keep it obscured, because in the moments where they kept it in
Right.
shadow and hidden, you heard the voice, you saw the kind of outline of it, you
Yeah.
saw the eyes. We get the hero shot of it not moving or talking. It looks great.
Mhm.
Leave it at
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
Just leave it at
Right.
that.
I
It would have
think
been a
they. I
fun little
think I
kind of
read.
Easter egg
Yeah.
callback thing without
Um.
having to see this really terrible CGI.
I know.
Yeah, I think I read something where they said that Ian Holm would have loved to be in this film because he was in Alien. Like he would have loved to be in this. So I think that's probably why they put his face on screen. As bad as it was, but I think they said that because he
Right.
would have loved to have been in this film, and so like I
Mhm.
think they wanted to like show his face. But I
Yeah.
get what she's saying though. It could have
Yeah.
because I don't think they do.
Show us the
They
face, just
don't
don't make it
do.
talk, because it
Right.
Yeah, they
like
don't.
it looked like a
They
deep
don't.
fake, just like
Yeah, they
projected
don't do
onto a
deep
flat
fakes really
surface.
Deep
well.
fake.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
haven't.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
We haven't like mastered deep fakes yet.
yeah.
Unless you're a
They
YouTube
still.
creator.
I
Yeah,
mean,
they
yeah,
still
that
feel.
guy who puts Tom
Mhm.
Cruise's face on his looks better than that.
That was
Like,
Yeah,
That's
crazy.
what
they
I'm saying.
still
Yeah, yeah.
feel
yeah.
like rubbery. They still feel like rubbery, like very shiny and very bright, not like very
Mhm.
plastic skin. Might work for a Barbie movie, but maybe
Yeah, it
not.
They
just
could
looked
even
really
done
flat.
they could
It
even
looked
done a thing
flat
too
and it
where his
didn't line up.
Yeah.
yeah. They could even done a thing where maybe his jaw was broken, but the sound still
Yes.
projected
Yeah, or like he was glitching,
out of
so it
his
could have been more
Yeah.
more
Mhm.
yeah.
choppy and
Yeah, yeah,
and
Or
yeah.
jerk.
like
Yeah.
lockjawed or something.
Yeah.
Mr.
Yeah.
Marvelite,
Sign
let's
us
hear
up,
what you think
Eddie.
of Alien Romulus.
So I went in and watched this by myself when it came out, mainly because my wife decided she wanted to go watch a girly film. which is fine. I'm okay with
How
that.
dare you say it like that? What's the
Well,
girly
I
film?
don't want to
Yeah.
say the film because of all the controversy that's been going on around it at the moment. But
Oh, now you
Oh.
have to tell us.
She
it
grabbed
ends
the
with me.
florals. She grabbed her florals and went. to see
She
that
was
movie.
watching It Ends With Us while I'm watching Alien Romulus.
Oh.
So, you know,
Okay.
I don't even want to go into that whole conversation.
No, we don't have enough time for that one. But go ahead. Continue.
So
with this movie.
I had been ever since the announcement for this film. I was just like hopefully optimistic, hoping that it would go back to some basics. I was not a big fan of Resurrection, Prometheus, or Covenant, really,
Covenant.
just because I felt like they were trying to take and say, okay, we know everybody loves aliens. Let's just not really give them what they want and give them the most like close to something else. And because everybody's like, oh, everyone's been so interested in the jockey for so many years. When it came to the original Alien series, you know, I really would have loved that to have actually just kept as like a mystery. And I get where they were going with it, but walking into this film and seeing it, first of all, just seeing how sinister the Wayland Industries was, that you know, it's like I've done my time. Basically, this form of indentured servitude, where you know you can only hope to go to another planet if you've like earned enough credits. But just as she's about to, well, we changed the standard.
Yeah.
And you're going to go into the mines, which is basically a death sentence.
Yeah, 5 and 6 more years. Like, oh, terrible.
I love the fact that they had dad jokes in the space. Like
I know.
Like I
We
was
call
like,
them
okay,
Tyler jokes here. Oh, just
Tyler
like-
jokes. Oh well, I just call them pure pun.
So good.
But regardless of like the CGI with the android and different things, there were so many elements. The space station itself was a character, in my opinion. Just the gravity failures. When they were first going in and there was no gravity and you see everything floating around. I think it's like, I looked this up before the show. Timestamp is like 22 minutes 47 seconds. There's a quick swipe where I could have sworn it looked like they were dealing with prototype Predator technology, because there's like a monitor with what looks like a shoulder cannon, and it could have been a camera. But then when they pulled out the impulse rifles, and you're looking at the way that they follow, I'm like, yeah, you know, they're reverse engineering alien technology, because like we saw,
because the way it tracks, the way it tracks,
because we were on the Romulus and Remus thing. I
Mm-hmm.
bet you there is something else going on, and
there's a Remus somewhere in the Predator world, like Predator land out there in the doing something. So
exactly, and the way that impulse rifle was like tracking people, that is 100% Predator attack.
The shoulder cam
and what it looks like, the when she can see it
on the image,
the image is very Predator. So that's a good catch there, MrMARVELite.
So like, I was in the theater, go like, I realized I had nobody next to me when I could talk to you. Like,
hey,
never mind. So
I was alone in my screen.
I'll be honest, it was
no one else there.
It was also my first Alien movie in the theaters. I was too young for the other ones. I saw Resurrection, but Resurrection for me is like the Jurassic Park 3 of the Jurassic franchise. It's just
lost her.
How it is. That's okay. You know, she'll but I have to agree, like with everybody's thoughts. It's a solid story. I love the duality between Andy with him struggling with his programming. I love that they use every element that they introduced at the beginning. Like it fits really well. The gravity is a plot piece that pays off really well at that ending.
Right.
Like, and then the elevator itself, like all of these moments, like you kind of expected what was happening, but at the same time you're sitting there going, yeah, I'm all for it. I'm absolutely in love with the way they handled it. And it gave a very, at the ending, past the, you know, architect, you know, human baby thing, the ending with them going off into space and going to this new place was so reminiscent to Ripley and her like hoping to
twice.
Yeah.
She did that two times.
Yeah. But we also know if your Android is damaged, it's not going to get any better down the road.
Also, why are you
Right.
putting an Android in a cryopod? I'm not sure I
Well,
understand that.
Ripley did that in
Yeah.
Aliens.
In
I think
Aliens.
it's just to prevent the system from failing so quickly.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a fair
Yeah,
point.
because if you can
There's
get
no
them
reason
to
to
a,
be-
Well, I think
if
their
you can get
skin
him
is
to
organic too, though.
right, if you
Yeah,
can
it's
get
all
him to a
bioorganic.
place
Yeah.
Yeah.
where they can fix
point.
him, you can manage the damage in the cryo.
Right.
Yeah, because I mean, if
Interesting.
you remember in Aliens, when oh, why am I forgetting?
Bishop? Is it
Bishop,
Bishop?
yes. Oh my word. When
It's like
Bishop's
in
ripped in
my
half, there's no metal. It's all bioorganic.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know, they almost have to heal him in a
Milk
sense, the
for
same way they
blood.
would. Yep.
Yeah.
Gotta
Mhm.
love that. So you guys are gonna
Ooh.
hear me be the one naysayer on the panel, which is weird. Because I didn't.
Oh,
expect
yeah,
It's
that's
really
so
not.
weird.
It's
That's really
it's
weird.
usually
If you think that's
you.
weird.
So
I don't think it's
yeah.
always me.
No.
So
Usually,
there were lots of
different.
wonderful moments in this film. I'm not going to deny this is a good production. The acting is phenomenal. I think there are some great compelling moments. But I don't think it's the word fan service. I hear what you're saying with that, Brian. I don't think that fan service was my problem. It felt more like they took a little piece from every single movie and retreaded it into one story, which is fine, but it didn't make me love it. I feel like this is a really good horror film, but maybe not the best alien film is the way I want to put that. I don't hate it. I'm not dissing on it. I'm not here to thrash it. But when it comes to the moments where they did retread, let's use the weird baby critter at the end. I felt way more attached and emotional about the resurrection hybrid thing that was like I felt bad for it. I also was hoping it would die quickly. It got sucked through a little tiny pinhole, which was really freaking awful. While this one was just, I don't know, it was, I don't know, it just didn't.
I don't know if you're
resonate with me
supposed
as
to
much.
feel anything
like-
for it.
I don't think you feel that.
So,
Well,
You're
no,
about
but
your
at least
thing.
with the other one, I did because it was her
Yeah.
baby. She was mom, you know. But
Yeah.
in this case, there is a
Right.
mother who just lost her child, and I didn't feel like there was any element of feeling bad for that at all. We
You
were
just
so
don't have
caught
any
up in this
because you didn't
thing.
have a connection to her. So I get that. I
That's fair.
absolutely
Yeah,
get
maybe
that.
if we'd gotten a
You
little bit
don't-
more than just.
I don't
Just
think
think
that
about it.
mom would
got
want
me
to let
about
that
it.
baby either, though.
I know,
Yeah.
right? Oh, she was
So
like,
it's
"Get
not
away
like,
from
get
me!"
this
There were
out
great
of me.
moments.
She's
The
like,
getaway from or the bitch moment I loved, especially with the pause
Mhm.
because you didn't know. I liked that.
Yeah.
I the creature designs, you know, they did change the face huggers a little bit. They're like darker now in this movie than they were, and I'm assuming that's because they were messing around with the goo a bit. And I
Juice.
did like those elements, like the goo being in it, and now we're like, okay, the
Mhm.
goo that created us is also the goo that's doing this,
Mhm.
and that's why it
Yeah.
looks like an engineer, but it's not, and it
I
is.
also like that the chest bursters were actually chest bursters because I feel like they were kind of almost stomach bursters in every other iteration.
Yeah.
Right.
The
Yeah.
fact
Yeah.
that
So
we
Yeah.
if
actually
they were down
see
here
it,
while
Yeah.
up here it was
like,
way in the top, and
Yeah,
cracking
they would
through
be.
her
They were like,
chest.
yeah, they were
through her
here.
that
ribs,
and she
X-ray
was, like,
thing,
here.
Yes.
that X-ray tech
Yeah.
was dope. I like that.
Yeah.
Now about the chest burster, I didn't actually say this about Alien, which I did want to bring up. And when I watched this one this time, for whatever reason, when the alien came out of John Hurt's chest, it stops and it clocks everybody in the room. It's like
Right.
Looking around.
it looks around and it's very deliberate, right?
It's
And
like
then
the
it's like
gopher
out of
from
here.
Caddyshack.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
this one, the chest burster comes out and it's like it's almost like it wasn't ready. It was like premature because it came out kind of slow and
Well, I think it kind of
lethargic.
was because I feel like they ripped the facehugger off sooner than it was ready to.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
can
then it
see
was-
you can see it
yeah,
go
right,
down
right.
the throat at the time.
Yeah.
too.
That could be why it burst up
Yeah.
here too, instead of getting all the way down in the stomach. Could be
Yeah,
why.
yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, because
But
think
I
about it
did-
too. 'Cause
I
it's
liked that,
vegetation
right?
in
They
the-
were
in
different.
the stomach part.
Yeah.
Right.
I also kind of
Um,
liked how it kind of was in a catalyst, like it was in this kind of like a cocoon as it was becoming more
Yeah, as it was
mature.
growing into
We always saw, like in the other films, we saw like
Yeah.
skin left behind, but
Yeah.
this
Right,
was
the
kind
one
of like
just
a,
And then
Right.
suddenly it's big.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
right.
again suggestive in every sense the way it
Mhm.
looked, you
Yeah.
know.
But this
Yeah.
is the first time we do get to see that second molting
Yeah,
delay, right?
like-
Where we actually
Yeah.
can see where they come
Which
out
was
of the
gross and
vagina
amazing
thing,
all at
right?
the same
God,
time.
yeah.
It
Yeah.
That was great.
And that drum guy
Um,
just standing there like, what are you doing?
I
Yeah.
was waiting for him to die.
Yeah,
I was
right.
so
Like,
I
come on,
happy.
let's go.
Bjorn.
No, I'm
I
just gonna
wanted Bjorn
stand
dead
here.
so bad.
Yeah,
There's
dude.
I
Like,
wanted him
Gabby
to die
thing
so
coming out of
bad
this.
because it's like this always irks me. This always irks me because the world works like this. It always irks me in movies, but it's probably a a good thing to put to movies. But like, you don't like a robot, so you don't like all robots, and that's how people
Right.
like do human beings. Like
Mhm.
I had a
Totally.
bad thing with this one
Mhm.
ethnicity. The whole ethnicity
Mhm.
is a problem, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
my whole point, I was like, kill him. Alien got
He's gonna be a problem. Yeah.
He's gonna be a problem in this whole
Well,
movie.
he
Like, I
was
need
the
to
problem. Like,
know.
Right.
we
But-
are
Oh,
where we
totally.
are because of Bjorn.
him.
Had
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
just
Yeah, exactly.
stopped
Yeah.
and cooperated to at least talk about what the hell
Uh-huh.
was going to happen,
Yeah.
you know, we wouldn't have wrecked our ship
And you
into
took
another
that
ship.
girl who was already pale back to the thing. She dead, my brody. She dead. You let this happen because of you, sir.
Right.
And she doesn't use the imaging thing until she's on the ship by herself, and then
Yeah.
sees what's coming out of her. So
I would just flew. I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like, and we're out. Like, I just jumped out of the thing. Just sacrifice yourself at this point, because like, if I literally took something and I can see, I know I'm not pregnant for one, and then I see something in my stomach that's like wrapped around it. It's time for me to die. It's
Yeah.
just,
You're like, this
either
isn't
put me
gonna.
in cryo sleep
This is
and
not gonna
take me
end
somewhere,
well.
or like
Yeah.
kill me. You got to do one of the two. Like, you can't. But we also know that it don't stop in cryo. I don't think they stop.
Well,
in
it
cryo,
does
'cause her
stop.
baby-
So it does stop. So Ripley in the end of 3 goes into cryo, and then they find
Yeah.
her dead body and are able to then
Mhm.
use the DNA to create the Ripley
Right.
we know in Resurrection.
Yeah.
But
So,
but that's the
Mr. Marvel,
thing.
you hate Resurrection? Oh,
But did
sorry.
it? But no. But did it survive as well, or did the DNA just survive in her body?
I think the DNA survived, but everything was dead. I don't think it could even gestate, as far as what I remember from Resurrection.
So,
Because they
so my
honestly,
question is,
she just died.
was she not fully locked in? Am I just missing that part? Was she not fully in cryogenic sleep? Because they put her in there first, and then it started going red, and they had to pop her out because she was giving birth. So does it not
in this
stop?
one in Romulus?
Yeah, does it not stop in cryogenic like sleep?
I mean, I guess not, because it,
Am I reading
it
that
started
wrong?
to come out.
Well,
It's-
and
it was
I don't
coming
know
out
if,
anyway.
and I don't know how long the process is for, because they weren't gone. If she wasn't in that pod for very long
Okay.
until she suddenly was like had a huge belly. So
Right.
I don't know
Okay.
how long that
cool.
process would take. Yeah, where it's
Yeah.
like fully, because it didn't look
Fully,
like
She
yeah.
was
Yeah.
flat when
'Cause
we
she was-
saw her
no,
throwing up,
totally.
and she had to
Yeah,
like
yeah,
say,
yeah.
"Hey, I'm not sick. I'm pregnant." Right?
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
yeah, and then suddenly full baby.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
seed.
I was just
But-
curious.
Yeah,
Curious.
And it was laid in an egg. It obviously came out of an egg.
yeah.
I love that
Yeah,
it was
so
like a
much, but I
little-
hate that for
oh,
her
man.
because I know that hurt. Like, I
Oh,
know that
oh,
hurt.
God.
Baby
God.
coming through already hurts,
It-
but you got a shell of
Well,
a
it's just
baby.
It was
Like,
horrific,
giving.
too,
It was
like-
giving the Fly, right, with the
Right.
maggot scene,
Yeah.
right? There was an element of that.
Oh,
Good thing she ain't throw up digestive enzymes. That'd have been a problem.
No, they do that with their blood instead.
Yeah, it's very true. We already had enough juice
Right.
throughout this
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
I will say one
Yeah.
of my favorite images is in like the mouth of the alien coming out and then like all the juice dripping. I think that's like I
Right.
want that on my
God,
wall
shot.
somewhere. Like I want that in
You
like
want
a
to bottle
glove.
that juice?
Come on, girl. Listen, I'll be like, I have it just like this and be like, this is my alien juice right here. The
So-
fact that do they have like alien ecto coolers? Because that'd be
I was gonna say
That's
somebody
funny.
who
Yeah, yeah.
knows how to make
word?
props
Yeah.
or movie, fun
Yeah.
stuff. Please make Law a can of alien juice. Like get her a
Mhm.
can, make it. Needs to be the alien.
Yeah, those people who
logo
make
and-
slime, like just
Yeah.
Yes. I would love
She'll
that
buy it.
so
I
much.
promise
don't-
you, she'll
I don't
buy it
even-
in a
I
second.
absolutely would. Don't be crazy on prices.
That's
though,
a $1
'cause I
million
would buy it.
idea.
But
Alien
make it
juice.
What if
happen,
you-
guys.
I feel like
Make it an
any
energy
alien
drink.
film,
Why
we
not?
should
There
have
you go.
alien juice. It should just be some type of alien juice or some type of alien like acid. You
The
could
Real
I could
Study
market the gas
presents-
out of this.
The Real Study presents alien juice. It's got kick
Yeah.
when you drink it.
Yes.
It's got kick.
No,
Ooh.
Xeno juice. It's called Xeno juice. That's what it's
Ooh.
called. Just saying, I can market
Now-
this.
There's another moment that we didn't talk about that I actually wanted to, because there are enough little Easter eggs littered in there that this is the first time that Ridley Scott actually, because he produced the film, obviously it's in his production company.
Right.
So this is the first time he presented an alien film at all that does
Mhm.
clarify that they can morph into other species, that it's
Right.
DNA specific, because that wasn't
Yeah.
something that came along until the AVP series that confirmed it. Obviously we get it in Alien 3 with the Ox, but they don't say it explicitly. But I like that we now can say whatever species this alien gets its mitts on. is
Yeah,
going
because
to
we see
turn
that
into
the,
them.
with the rat situation that they
Yeah.
had, yeah,
Mhm.
which that was
Mhm.
terrifying.
But
Yeah,
also
I mean-
she had
Ooh,
like,
man.
but also she had the like original like sauce. in her because like she didn't get infected, right?
The OG
Yeah,
sauce,
like,
the
OG
engineer sauce.
sauce. She had that OG,
The OG
sauce going
sauce,
for
yeah,
her
yeah.
veins, man.
Yeah.
Hey,
More
okay.
potent.
The snake creating nightmare juice from Prometheus.
Yes. Yeah.
That's
Xeno. That's that. So like that's that Xeno juice. They got like a like extra creatine or something in it. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's that workout, folks. You know, Xeno juice with whey protein. You know what I mean? Like
now I just see somebody with a human body
30
but a
grams of
xenomorph head
protein.
running on the treadmill, right? And it's-
Yeah.
Oh, that's-
Get your Xeno juice today.
Have me some of that sin juice.
You feel me?
Or as Janine would say, that juice, right?
the juice.
Yeah.
Now the can would have to be made out of alien skin, otherwise it wouldn't hold it. It would burn right through aluminum.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
a
Would it be
problem.
carbonated though?
Yeah.
Carbonated xenomorph juice.
Yeah.
I think it
It
has
does
to.
bubble.
I think it has to be carbonated. If it's not carbonated, what we doing? It has to be
It
carbonated
bubbles
to make
and
up
it steams, right?
its
So
juice and its acid with the
How do
carbonation.
you do that?
So that means there got to be some ginger in there somewhere to get that burn. You feel me? So
Oh,
like,
yes,
yeah.
there needs to be some burning, like either
Yeah.
a spicy burn
Sign
or
me up.
well, if that's the
ginger
case,
burn is
then
good.
Vernors is Xeno juice because it burns real good. If you ever have Vernors, it's a Michigan product. But if you ever have Vernors,
I don't know. Canada Dry could just be
Vernors is
relabeled
okay.
alien
no,
juice.
I gotta send all of y'all Vernors now. That's
No,
my
we
goal.
have Vernors out here.
You got
Where do
I
you
Vernors?
get
don't, I don't know
Yeah.
what that is.
It's
Sweet.
ginger ale.
It's
Where do you
ginger
get
ale.
it? Like a
Grocery
local
store.
hippie shop?
I was
Nope.
like,
I'm
Interesting.
like, aren't you guys like in the same vicinity?
We are, but
Yeah.
at the same time, he's
But of
in
course,
the like
I'm in.
he's in the like city area.
I'm in
and
a
I'm
city,
in the like
yeah.
not
He's-
city area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
okay, I gotta send y'all some
we
Vernors.
barely have a
Brian
Costco.
knows,
so-
Brian knows what it is.
yeah.
Shout out to Brian out here, but I'm gonna send you other for some Vernors.
Okay.
I need y'all to partake.
Okay.
See, I always thought
Yeah.
Mr. or
Gotta start
Jones
testing.
is what we had out here. We have Jones's drinks.
Don't
Yeah, we have
compare.
Joneses too.
We got
We
that
have those.
too.
Yeah.
We have those too, but don't compare. The same. The same.
If we could
This is
release
now
an
it's-
energy drink.
Tell you,
yeah.
Ginger ale
Vernors.
talk.
Okay. Here and here.
So fascinating.
We're gonna move from movies to snacks and beverages.
The ginger ale study.
Oh, word.
The ginger reel.
Yes.
That was beautiful.
We're product
That was
testing
beautiful.
of
Yes.
our new
Yeah.
Real Study movie
Real
themed
Study.
products. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want us to put our logo on your can, you let us know. We will
Whoa,
do that.
whoa. That went a bit.
That sounded bad. I
Sponsored.
know.
Whoa.
Hey, these
Come
movies are very
on, show us
phallic.
your
I don't know what to
can.
tell you.
Oh, you're a
Show us your
married
can.
man.
How big is your
Calm
can?
down.
Yeah.
You
It's
are
like
married.
summer sausages.
Tyler, this is all for you. We're putting as many of these out there for you
Yeah.
as we can.
There's no can big enough for us. I'm just saying. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of,
Can.
the real do. The real do.
Real
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
Coca.
I can't
Coca.
deal with this
Duva.
anymore.
So, Alien
That's
Romulus.
nice.
So yeah, Alien Romulus. Any other thoughts
oh.
on Alien Romulus?
Good job,
while
right?
we're at
Good
it?
job.
Yeah.
I do want to say
will-
something about that final.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
no, go ahead. You go first.
I was just
Please,
gonna
Tyler,
talk about-
Tyler, please.
I was just going to talk about the budget, how like we need more films in this budget.
Yes.
Which it was like mid-level budget, it was like $80 million.
Mhm.
And then it did
Solid.
phenomenal,
Yep.
you know, in the
Yeah.
theater. So it's
You
like,
can do
look
something
what they can
really
do.
great.
Yeah, with $80
Yeah.
million. Like, come on.
350 million worldwide.
Curious to
Yeah.
see if A24 had this film, how much it would have cost and how it would have looked. Because I feel like
Right.
A24 could have did this same film for less. I'm just saying
Yeah,
because they're
right?
amazing.
I mean, Alien was made for like what, $4.2 million?
Yeah,
Like,
it
come
was
on.
insane.
Yeah.
But that's
Yeah.
the thing, like it was all set design and they made one giant set on Alien. It was literally just
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
big ship
Yeah.
It was like,
that they got to wander around in. And once they
Right.
were in, which I think is a
Yeah.
great way to
And then
film
you
a
like
movie.
barely show the alien, which is something they did, you know, in this film too, which I really like. That we really
Yeah.
didn't see the
Yeah.
alien a lot, you know, until like near the
Yeah.
end, and there's like a shitload of them. There's like,
Right.
oh god,
That's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Alien
Oh, yeah.
like,
yeah,
let's
So
do
when
one
you
thing.
saw like the
Uh-huh.
face huggers coming out of the door, like with their little fingers coming out of the door, I was like, and then they
Yeah.
burst into laugh. I was like, oh.
I don't know
The
why, but the
worst.
moment I saw Navarro standing out the door, I was like, Navarro's getting one. I could just
Oh, yeah.
tell. I knew she was getting one.
Yeah, that crack was,
she was too
just
scared.
big enough.
So
Yep.
yeah.
Huh.
Oh, the way I like lost it, like especially the first time I saw this film, when like that initial scene when they get out of that cryo area with the
He
water.
turned.
They
Mhm.
well, when they finally escape and they bust out of it, and there's just all these
Yeah.
face huggers coming up. Like,
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
no,
No.
I
No,
think
no,
I
no, no,
would've
no,
gave
no,
up. I
God.
would have gave up. I'd have been like, I think we're done, you guys. I think
yeah,
we're
yeah,
ready
yeah.
to
I'm like,
point. I think we're finished.
Like,
I was
you've
like, there's
never
at least
seen-
one for each of you. Like,
Right, exactly. Maybe even two. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, like, we've never seen them like this. You know what I mean? They introduced
in
facehuggers like
mass.
such
Yeah.
a crazy way. Like, yeah,
Mhm.
it's just
Because we only
such a
see
good
them like
job.
one at a time, right? Like
Yeah,
maybe
exactly.
like one
Right.
here, one
Yeah.
here, or like the eggs open it up and they kind of
Yes.
Yeah,
like
it's a little
flittering out.
slow
But
and
this
like,
one was
yeah.
just
Yeah,
like
or there's just
That's
one that then creates more,
right.
but theirs was
Yeah.
like a
It was
bunch all
like a
at once.
And it's like
barrage
a
of them. It was
and it's
like
like
a
a
stampede.
PA. It's like a PA off screen or off
Mhm.
camera
Yeah.
throws the thing, you know, in
Yeah.
frame.
There's some like that were on like wheels and they were like motorizing
Yeah.
them, driving
Yeah,
them
yeah.
around. There
Uh-huh.
were some that were
It felt like
CGI. Yeah.
it
Yeah,
felt
yeah.
like
I
Jumanji.
did like
good.
how they kept batting them away. That was pretty
Yeah.
nice. How they were just
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
screw that, get away from my
Mhm.
face, you face hugger, you. But they
Yeah.
called them parasitoid. What did they call them? Parasitoids or something like that. I was like, why didn't they call them face huggers? That was a little weird.
they
And
wouldn't-
even
I
the
don't
like,
Well, that's because
they
we call
know.
them facehuggers.
They
That's what we
wouldn't
call
call
them.
right. That's what
yeah.
we call
In
it.
that
But they
world, they
called
don't
them
call them that.
They wouldn't
xenomorphs.
know.
Like
in
we
this
call them
movie.
aliens if they're
Right.
xenomorphs. Like that's
I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't know.
you know another thing we didn't talk about.
They
But
call
it
them
was like
xenomorphs because they call them xenomorphs, correct? Like they've said
Not
this in the
until
film.
this film
right?
did they call them xenomorphs.
Oh, interesting.
no, they call them xenomorph aliens.
Okay, I thought it was
When they
somewhere
when they
else.
when they did when they did the debrief before they landed, they call it a xenomorph.
yeah, I think
Weird.
I
I
think
don't
they
remember
do.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
I
think
was
that's
say,
like the
okay,
only
it's like
time
all of our
they say that.
terminology is like in-home terminology, right? I mean, but except for like face huggers, because do they ever call them face huggers?
No.
In the
No.
films?
No, I
No,
think
I don't
that's
think we
Okay,
ever
yeah.
hear them say
That's
that.
like
Yeah, yeah.
outside of
Yes.
canon, like outside terminology.
it's a community term.
Come on, community
They're
term.
calling it
I like that.
Star Beast.
The Star Beast. Yeah.
Honestly, if they were called
Beast.
Star Beast, my God.
Oh my God,
Stop.
Star Beast.
But
Star Beast
Yeah.
Romulus. Oh
something we
Lord.
didn't talk about
Lord.
is about Romulus.
Oh
I love how they
Lord.
tied in. I love how they tied into the first one by telling us that they literally searched for the one that she ejected into space, and
Yeah.
they give that
Yes.
explanation that it doesn't matter if they're in space, if they don't have food, if they don't have water,
They'll
this
survive.
thing will
They'll
not die
survive.
unless you
Yeah.
destroy it.
Yeah.
And the fact that it because they tell you like they captured it, they utilized it, but at the same time it wreaked havoc on their space station.
Yeah.
And the same, and it's the whole reason why Romulus is decommissioned is because of the exact same alien that Ripley blew out of that
Right.
Yeah,
Or
it,
airlock.
it
I did
feels
like that.
very it feels very T2 that they're just trying to utilize
Yeah.
this thing that
Totally.
is obviously
Yeah, yeah,
dangerous,
yeah.
that our first person did their due diligence to destroy, and then you just
Right. You're just
I
like,
got all
Yeah, you
out.
could have just let it rot in space, but
Yeah.
no,
Here's
you had
the
to mess
thing,
with it.
though, like
So
this is Wayland's company's fault at the end of the day. Because one, why do you have a decommissioned ship that's full of these things? We know you know on this planet, but also if you treated people correctly, they wouldn't have went to go heist nothing. They would have just lived their lives with it just sitting
Right.
in the background. You brought this on
according to
yourself.
what I just saw, Mr. Marvelite, Aliens was the first time, and it was actually
That's what I said.
one of the. Oh, I thought you said Alien.
No,
They're
Aliens,
such
when
close
when-
names.
right when the
Yeah.
Colonial
Yeah.
Marines are about to go on to LV
Yeah,
446,
Yeah.
Yeah.
they do a debrief, and that's when they call it Xemorphs for
Yeah.
the first time.
Interesting. Which in its name says it's going to change into something, which is interesting.
Right. Yeah, within the
Um,
name. Mhm.
Can we, before we rate this movie, since we are running out of time, so we don't want to waste too much more time. But I kind of want an idea because I know Mr. Marvelite is like a, first three love, second three hate kind of Alien fan. So I'm trying to.
Oh, I wouldn't even say first three love.
Oh, you don't like three either?
Three, I have big problems with three. The cast have problems with three.
Well,
They were
The
actually at
director?
so the guy who played
Yeah.
Purple Hicks, Michael Bean.
Michael Bean.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I talked with him at a convention once, and at one time in like I think it was like 2013, they had been in talks of doing a Aliens movie where Sigourney
Yeah.
Weaver and he was going to reprise a role.
Yep.
They were basically going to do it as if the third didn't exist.
That was going to
Yeah.
be a Blomkamp film, and they
That was a
actually dropped
Blomkamp
it.
movie. Yeah. There was like
Yeah.
art and everything made
Production
for it and all
stuff,
kinds of
yep.
stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah, they just never
I
got
had
to
a
make it.
big problem with the fact that she risked her life in Aliens to save Newt, only for Newt to be dead in the third
Yeah,
film.
that would made me
Like,
so
it
mad.
really
That's why,
bothered
like,
me.
I don't
Yeah.
even. I have not revisited.
I thought there was
3 and
such
into,
potential
'cause that
for
was
them.
just the most
Yep.
stupid thing to just
Oh,
kill both
absolutely.
of them off screen as well when they were such great characters in their movie.
Yeah. Off screen too. Like
I
Yeah.
know. Like didn't even give Hicks a chance. You
Yeah.
know,
It was
like,
funny though
and
because when they did the going into like the Kenner toys in the early 90s, they gave this idea that they gave a potential for their, like with comic books and everything else, of like, you know, we talk about
Mhm.
xenomorphs like taking on the characteristics of the things that they had. You had scorpion aliens, gorilla aliens,
yeah, right.
all of this, all this potential. There was so much they could have done. They decided to go this different route. It just so disappointed me.
Oh, sorry.
Very
Yes.
cool.
I had quite a few of those toys. I had to get rid of them. They were great.
Aw.
Yeah.
But I still think 3 has its merits. 1, it is Fincher, so there's still elements there from a great director.
Mhm.
And we do get lore from 3 that we don't get in other films, so that builds out the universe a little bit more. So we can't just, unfortunately, get rid of it. But you're right, it's not great
Yeah.
by any stretch of imagination.
That Alien 3 has one of my favorite scenes of all time. You all know the scene, correct? Nobody knows the scene?
What?
Are you
Maybe
talking
tell
about
us.
the
Yeah,
when it walks up to her and it's like
all up in her
Right
face.
it's all over her
face.
face?
Juicy.
That's
The
the second
classic.
scene. That's the second scene. That's
Which
classic.
they
'cause
did
that
replicate in this
Like the
film.
juice
Yeah,
What
they
box.
did
about when
replicate
she's
that
falling into
juice.
the pit holding it?
And she's holding
right?
it. That's very Gollum, but no. It's the scene where, like, she runs back into the room and she's trying to tell everybody, like, it's here, and that guy is like, somebody shut her up, get her out of here, and then the alien pulls him up and everybody
Oh
freaks.
yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's that one
Yeah,
guy that's like,
That's a pretty good shot.
oh, like, it's
Yeah.
my favorite scene of all time. It's the
Right.
greatest scene of all time. I love
And
that
you got
scene.
Charles S.
The
Dutton
Swift,
in there
the
too. It was
Swift come up
great.
and
Right.
Yeah, Dutton's so good.
But see, but I
That's
think
good.
that's why this is why I like the whole franchise. But I do like 3. I won't say it was like a great alien film because I can't say that. I won't sit here and lie and say that. I do enjoy it, but for me, Charles S. Dutton is such a great underrated actor that to
Yeah.
me, just that film existed for him to be in it, to do what he did in that film, I'm fine with Alien 3. It does have its elements. I love that she's like, she has the mother in her or whatever. I dig that. I love that she sacrificed herself. It still keeps up with the Ripley being an amazing, brave. Because
Also
think about
very
it, you
Terminator
crash,
2.
you
Yeah.
exactly,
Mhm.
you crash on this like space prison
Yeah.
full of only men, almost get raped, and you still trying to save these people. Like, I'd have
Right.
just let them die. I would have figured out a way to get up out of there. I'd have walked outside or something. I'd have died my own way or something.
Walked outside.
I don't know.
All
I'm
right.
going for a smoke break.
We are going to run out of time,
Exactly.
so I am getting the hey, you're going over time from the producer, who I want to shout out, Hyena, our producer, who is phenomenal. She gives the dynamic nature of this, and she makes this all happen for us. So thank you very much for that. And also, Keys is never here, so he is the voice of the Real Study. Whenever you hear our promos or the intro, that is him. We appreciate everything you do as well. But let's go into the ratings of this, and then we'll talk about next week, or not next week. I'm sorry, 2 weeks, but we'll get to that. Let's start with you, Tyler. Tyler, what did you think of Alien Romulus?
It'd be a 9 point. No, it's gonna be a 10. It's a 10. It's a 10 for me, and I hope it's a 10 for all of you guys here on the Real Study. And everything about this great. I think they handled it really well. I think they had a lot of things that, like, it was challenging, and I'm surprised they pulled it off and they did it. So I think 10 is good. 10 is good for me.
All right, Lala. Remember, you
I
have to
can't
make it a
give-
10. Tyler said so.
I can't. I won't be peer pressured this time. I can't give it a 10, but it was a great film. But because it is kind of like the Force Awakens of the Alien franchise in a sense, I have to give it a 9.5 because it's still amazing. It still brought something new to the franchise. The actors were amazing, but David Johnson might be top tier. So 9.5, solid 9.5.
Yeah.
5. All right. How about you,
A
Brian?
little more Xeno juicy thing, maybe.
Come
Yeah.
on,
Little
Juice.
golden.
A little more.
Gotta get that
Yeah.
Get
point
that
back.
half point.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
the
telling you,
Xeno.
Xeno
Xeno
juice
scene.
could probably cure cancer or something. I'm probably can.
It would burn it out. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. David Johnson's performance. I mean, just being able to, like, in an instant go between, like, this, like,
Accents,
antagonist,
tone,
and the
face,
accent and everything,
everything.
and then just immediately back into, you know,
His
his pre,
sweet
like,
little
just great.
baby
Yeah,
boy.
so good,
Yeah.
man.
telling
Yeah.
goofy jokes. Amazing.
Yeah, I have to say, yeah, it's a 9.5 for me. It's, like, so close you know, there's like, I think I'd give it like, I knock at that half mark for the Ian Holm kind of
Yeah.
like effects of it. But yeah.
All right. How about you, Janine?
I guess I'm gonna copy Ryan.
Yes.
Yes, I give it a 9.5 as well. I think it did a great job with the callbacks, but also kind of crafting its own original story. Great sequences throughout, lots of tension, and the Ian Holm thing just took it out of being perfect for me. So
yeah.
All right, MrMARVELite.
Yeah, 9.5 for me. It is one of the top 3 of the Alien franchise for me. Only being third to like Alien and Aliens. I love the fact that this film gives you the ability to have not seen anything after Aliens and still feel like you are up to what's going on. But then at the same time, if you did invest in the other films, you have a little bit more knowledge, especially with that ending. I think it also gives you a reason to actually go back and enjoy those other films that you may not have been liked at all. I again, Covenant and Prometheus were not my favorites, but it did a good job of making those 2 films really worth watching now. It's one of those ones where I think it's going to hold up, and I think I might improve my rating of it over time, but I would never put it to those other 2 being 10s until I give it that time to really kind of settle into the mythos and see what happens in the future, because I know we're not done yet, especially with Alien Earth coming.
Oh my God!
Right?
Yes,
that'll be interesting.
Yes.
That like trailer. Do you see that trailer they released? Oh my God! Just that trailer was
Aliens
like
perspective. Yeah.
Oh my God! Yeah, I was like,
wild.
yes, what? So good.
But there's also Alien Isolation 2 coming as well.
Yes.
So
and have you guys played that game?
You guys never played it. It's Ripley's daughter looking for her mom.
Yeah, I've seen it. Like I've seen people play it, and I've been
play through it. I have to put it down.
Yep.
I respect that.
I have such anxiety through it, especially because I always make sure it's on with the with it being able to hear you. And I can't keep quiet. So yeah,
it's also a very hard game. It's not easy either. Like it doesn't just like spoon feed it to you. You have to work your ass off to get through it.
Aliens
it's harder.
Dumb.
So.
It's oh man.
Yeah.
So good.
So for myself, I am going to disappoint the panel, and I'm not going to give it a 9.5.
Womp womp.
Yeah, I knew that was going to upset.
We're
everybody.
so shocked.
I was shocked.
I am going to give it. I am going to give it, and I talked to my wife, and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to rate this, but I wanted to see how the discussion swayed me. And the discussion on this show does tend to sway us, a lot of us, to a more positive view of film, which I love. And so I will give it an 8. I do think it's worth an 8. That is still a solid score, and I will be rewatching it to see if maybe I feel differently. It could have been my mindset. You never know. That's always fair with film. So, yeah, an 8. That's said,
better than Ready Player One for you, so that's good.
Hey, that's a 2. That's a 2.
Damn.
Now I gotta watch that film. I've never seen it.
I never watched it. I read the book, so I was excited for the film to see.
I read the book after.
There were elements that were fun, that were from the book, that worked really well, and but
Ian
a
Holm
lot of
didn't
it
look
was
great in that movie either.
Yeah. But there was quite a bit of disappointing things in it.
Janine has what I feel like. The book is, it's not that I like to compare the two. It's quite literally the movie is like a really abridged version of the book.
Yes.
Like really abridged.
And they could have fleshed it out.
It's like the junior novelization. Let's go there.
Yeah, it's more like they should have made it 2 films
down
or
too
3,
much.
Right?
They stripped it down way too much.
My thing is, either you gonna do the book or don't do the book. Like it's either one or the other.
Well, in that case, they didn't.
I think there are elements they had to change because they didn't have property rights to certain things. But I could have accepted some of the changes. But they made it like
they could have worked around it. They could have found.
They made it a Fast and the Furious style movie.
I'm talking about
when it was deeper. But anyway, so in 2 weeks, we will not be here next week because the Super Bowl, and we try not to compete against the Super Bowl because it doesn't usually work out for us. So we're going to skip Super Bowl weekend, but we will be back on the 16th, and we're going to have Brown Sugar and Just Right as our 2 films for that evening. Of course, we're going to be doing our Black History Month celebration, and so that'll be on the 16th.
Yeah,
so check
because
it
Black
out.
History Month never dies. I don't care what nobody say.
That's right.
Agreed, 100%. And we've done it every year, and we will continue to do it for every year while we're on the air. So,
Exactly.
Along with other
throughout the
celebrations of
And throughout
other
the year.
people as well.
Yeah.
So, exactly. That said, this has been episode 18 of season 4 of The Real Study. We really appreciate you guys stopping by.
As always. And as you see the scroll at the bottom, follow us on all social media. We're everywhere. Letterboxd, TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky, Discord, YouTube.
Green sky, red
Substack.
sky, all the skies.
Listen, purple sky, orange sky,
Red Note.
everywhere. Vanilla sky.
We're not on Red Note. We're not
Vanilla
on
Sky.
Vanilla Sky.
I felt like that was a tie. That was a tie moment, with the vanilla sky.
Nice.
Right. All right,
It's happy
guys.
to hear, man.
Hey, guys.
Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Thanks, MrMARVELite. We
Don't
appreciate
forget to
it.
drink that
Thanks
juice.
for having me back on.
Anytime.
like,
You are
Zeno
family. You're welcome. Come back on
Zeno
whenever you
Juice,
want.
baby,
Oh,
turn
cool.
up. It's coming in 2027. Zeno Juice.